The loop in society is worldwide. There's nowhere you can run, and there's nowhere you can hide. The lands will run red with the blood of everyone you love.
Be careful out there. There's a serial killer on the loose.
What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? What's happening? What's going on? Welcome to Trailblazers Radio. I am your host for this evening, Mr. Frederick Beaty, and I have another beautiful host that's right next to me, Miss LHG, which goes by the name of Latanya Harris Gooden, and we are live and direct in the place right now. We thank you guys for tuning in with us. You guys could have been anywhere else, but you're right here with us, and we most definitely thank you for it. Thank you so much for tuning in with us, and we thank you very much. So I'm really excited for tonight because this particular thing has been on my mind. Well, it's been on my mind for a while. It's also been in my heart and my spirit for a while too, and I'm really excited to talk about it and really bring it to the forefront and really just talk about it in detail and at length. You know, I want you guys to continue to please like and share and comment. Look, it's gonna be that type of conversation. So I want to preface it with this one thing. What I'm gonna say tonight. Every man, not every man or a woman for that matter, is gonna agree with it. I'm okay with that. If you feel you have a difference of opinion, by all means, hit a comment, hit us up and make a comment. We can most definitely talk about it. Or if you want to talk about it in a future episode, by all means, hit us up via email. You know, and I'll make sure that the email is present for y'all to send an email to us. You know, the one thing I will say is that what I'm about to say, I'm not going to be apologetic about, because this is something that needs to happen. Something that needs to be talked about, something that needs to be said. And I want everyone to understand that this is coming from my own personal perspective. So your perspective may be different. The way you look at things may be different. How you view things may be different. And again, I'm okay with that. So what are we talking about? Well, what we're talking about is letters to self, healing and growth. So without any further ado, I'm just going to jump right into the subject matter. So the first thing I want to have my brothers, when's the last time you wrote a letter to yourself?
Wow.
What did that letter sound like? What did that letter look like? What tone was that letter written in? What points did you talk about in that letter? If you answered yes or no to any one of those questions, if you answered yes to you have written a letter to yourself, and you also said to yourself that I've written this letter such and such a time ago, but you didn't answer the other questions that I mentioned. What was the tone of that letter? What was the language of that letter? What was the overall purpose of that letter? Did you write it when you were younger? Did you write it when you were much older and much more seasoned or experienced? Did you write it from a place of pain? Did you write it from a place of accomplishment? Did you write it from a place of confusion? Did you write it from a place of simply not knowing? If you answered yes to any of those questions, the thing that I'm going to say to you that although there's no real right or wrong answer to any question that I just asked, because how you wrote your letter is how you wrote your letter. How you constructed it is how you constructed it. However, there are 5 tenets of a letter that you write to yourself. And I do believe that these 5 tenets are important. Why are they important? Because each one of these tenets, I believe, tackles a specific aspect of our lives as men. Again, you may beg to differ, and then again, that is fine. I'm okay with that. Differing opinions are cool. And if you have an opinion, I'm ready for it. So let's get into this right now. So the first pillar or tenet that I want to talk about, that I wanted to attack this from, is first thing. First of all, acknowledgement of who and whose you are in the present moment. Not talking about in your past. I'm not talking about 10 years down the line. I'm talking about in this present moment. Who are you? Whose are you? So let's break that down a little bit. So who you are can be attributed to basic demographic information. If someone were to ask you who you are, you would possibly give them your name. You know, you would probably give them your first and last name. Some people like to give a middle initial or their middle name. If they were to further ask you any further questions, they would probably ask you where you live, which you would give them your address. If someone wanted to get in contact with you, you would probably give them your telephone number or an email address. If someone wanted to contact you via mail, you probably give them your home address. There's so many other identifying information, such as not just the demographic stuff, but also other demographic things such as your social security card, your social security number, your if you're in the military, your military ID or your military number. All these things are demographic information. That's demographic information. That is a basic breakdown of who you are in its most basic form. Demographic information does matter because it's an important identifier of who you are, and that's good. But so what? But who are you? Who are you beyond the demographic information? Who are you besides the name that your parents gave you? Who are you besides the telephone number that you have or the address that you live at? Well, to answer that question, first and foremost you are a human being, also designated as a male. So now that we know that those things are established, so we know who you are, and that's just the basic demographic part of it. But do you know whose you are? If you said no to that, then let me explain. Then let me explain. Let me explain that to. Let me break that down to you. Knowing whose you are is basically I won't even say basically. Knowing whose you are is understanding the relationship that you have with God. Understanding the relationship that you have with God is a very intimate and very personal relationship. Ephesians 6:10 clearly states, finally, be strong in the Lord and his great power, for I am wonderfully made. Wonderfully, wonderfully made is a very powerful thing that I picked up in the scripture. Being wonderfully made means that you are, first of all, we're made in his image. Number one. Number two, we we've been given the heart of God. But knowing whose you are goes beyond knowing that you're wonderfully made. It also You also have to understand knowing whose you are also is confirming and affirming your relationship with God, not only with God, but also with yourself. A lot of people can say who they are, but can you confirm and affirm who you are? Can you look in the mirror and tell yourself, I can you look in the mirror and tell yourself, I am I am all that God has told me I am. Can you look in the mirror and say that get confidence? Can you say that with fervor? Can you say that with can you say that with the utmost confidence and the fervor and attention to yourself? If you can't, cool. Not, then you need to re-examine the relationship that you have, not only with yourself, but with God as well. Because when we affirm something, or should I say when we as men, when we affirm ourselves, we're giving ourselves permission to be the people. We're giving ourselves permission to be the men that we want, that not only that we want to be, but also who we aspire to be and who we set out to be. Affirmations are a very, very strong thing. I think that when we don't affirm ourselves, we do ourselves a strong disservice. When we don't when we don't build ourselves up, when we don't give ourselves confidence, when we don't give ourselves permission to be who we are, we do ourselves a disservice. And knowing who we are is some men may say, nah, that it doesn't work that way. Well, yeah, it does. Both of those two things are interconnected. Knowing who you are is directly connected to whose you are. A lot of people won't look at it from that aspect. But I do, and I have to for my own personal experience because that's how I looked at things. That's how I look at things now. I won't say I can say this. I can say this about myself. I know whose I am. I am working very hard to find out who I am, because who I am is more than just the name that I have. I'm an individual with hopes, with dreams, with aspirations, with desires and wants and needs. And all these things make up who I am, what I desire, what I want, what I need, what I aspire to be, and who I inspire. All these things make up who I am. And there's so many other things that draw into the makeup of who we are. But if I were to talk about this part of it, we probably be here the rest of the night. And yes, that's right. That's right, Coco. Proverbs 23:7. As a man thinketh in his heart, so he is. And that has weight. If you think if you think that you're going to be successful, you will be successful. If you think that you're going to be wealthy, you will be wealthy. If you think that you are going to be prosperous, then you will be prosperous. This also works the other way too, because it is a double-edged sword, and you choose which end to get cut with. So if you think negative thoughts, then negative things will happen. Negative things will manifest. So as you think, so you are. With this particular tenant, I really want you to think on Proverbs 23:7, but also Ephesians 6:10, because these are important things to understand. Because once you know who you are, you're pretty much on that path. And this is one of the first important tenets of this letter I won't say that you should, that you may decide you want to craft for yourself. That's one of the important tenets. The second one is understanding that we are human and that we are much more than just our mistakes, our bad decisions, and our errors. So with this, think about the most egregious thing you did. Not not this year, but in life. Think about the worst decision that you made. Think about the worst mistake that you made. Think about the most regretful decision that you made. How did it make you feel? What did you feel? Where was your mindset? Why did you make the decision? Was it made in haste? Was it made out of desperation? Was it made out of a want? Was it made out of a need? And you don't have to go deep and think about this, and you don't have to overanalyze it. But think about that. How long have you let that one bad decision? How long did you let that bad decision eat away at who you are, eat away at you? How long did you let that bad decision push you to a point to where you were like, well, okay, I don't want to do this, or I don't want to be that. Think about that. When I say that you understand, when I say understand that you're human and you're more than just the mistakes and the bad decisions that you make, it goes back to this one word: accountability, accountability, and responsibility. We are accountable for every choice that we make, whether it is good or bad or indifferent. We are responsible. We are always to be held responsible for our decisions and our choices, good, bad, or indifferent. And when you understand accountability and you understand responsibility, that puts you in the mindset of just understanding that you're more than just the mistakes, but also not only just accountability and responsibilities are key. Also understanding that being accountable to not only ourselves, we also have to be accountable to others. That means the people that we hurt. That means the people that we wrong. That means the people that we said that we offend. That means who's ever been affected by our decisions. Now, I'm gonna say this, and this might be a surprise for a lot of people. A bad decision is not a death sentence. I'm gonna repeat that. A bad decision is not a death sentence. An error is not a death sentence. An egregious choice is not a death sentence. Being human, first of all, being human is something that we all are. Being a male is something that most of us are, and that's kind of that's the crux of what I'm speaking to at this moment. But a lot of us men, and myself included, we put ourselves as men first and human beings second. That's not that's not how it goes. We're human beings first and men second. Yes, exactly. We also have to recognize when we hurt ourselves, betray ourselves, or we underestimate ourselves. That goes to the bad choices. That goes to the bad. When we underestimate ourselves, we we sell ourselves short, or we we overcompensate for a shortcoming. That's fine, but when you're overcompensating for something else pays pays a penance. So, and like I mentioned earlier, a lot of us men, and I'm gonna say some. I'm not gonna say all. And I will put myself in that category too. Some of us men, we think of ourselves as men first and human beings second. Not the case. Not so fast. We're humans. We're human beings first, and then we're men second. And I think when we understand that particular thing, we can understand that we are much larger than our mistakes and our bad decisions and the things that we put other people through, and the things we put ourselves through through our bad decisions, through our lapses in judgment, and through our mistakes. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to have a lapse in judgment. It's okay to err. It's okay to it's okay to do those things because again, we're human first. But the minute we do these things, we make errors and we make these all these lapses in judgment without acknowledging them, looking at those decisions and those things for errors and bad choices for what they are, and analyzing them and learning our lessons. Oh wow. As women, we see ourselves as women last because we are looked at to bring order to so many in our lives. I understand that. However, that's kind of sort of the order of what it is. Because first of all, you're a human being first, and then you are a woman second, not last. That's to me that's never last. That's second. Everything else that falls behind that is the makeup of who you are. I'm a human being first. I'm a man second. I'm a I'm a father. I'm a grandfather. All those other things come behind that. So you should never look at being a woman or being a man as last. Yes, Psalms 130, 139 verses 13 and 14. Gee, somebody's reading my mind right now. For you created my innermost being. You knit me together in my mother's womb. I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful, and I know that full well. Boom. What else could I say to that? That's not put in that scripture. It's okay to make errors. It's okay to have a lapse in judgment. It's okay to make a bad decision. But first of all, understanding that that decision was made. Secondly, acknowledging it, making apology, making apologies, and asking for forgiveness when we do, when we need to. But also, the important part of that is learning from the mistake. Yeah, I think we treat men, this is probably, I'm pretty sure this is a woman speaking. I think we treat men like they are here to save us from life instead of being there to go through life with us. You're right. We are meant to coexist with each other. Everybody, that is the basic tenet of being together. We are meant to coexist with each other. Existing is work. Well, back to what I was saying is, learning, understanding the lesson in the mistake. Important. Very, very important. Understanding the lesson in the mistake. Understanding the lesson in the error. Understanding the lesson in the lapse of judgment. Understanding the lesson in the egregious decision. And understanding who and whom and what whom it affects. Who it affects. putting in that work to understand what it is to make improvements. We're human. We all make errors. We all make bad choices. We all make mistakes. But it's the learning part to it that makes it that makes those mistakes sting less, hurt less. It makes those decisions feel less egregious or less burdensome. And I'm gonna say this, and I'm just gonna really just put it out there. You can't dwell on a mistake that you made. It's simply that, a mistake. It's simply that, a bad choice. It's simply that, a lapse in judgment. It's simply that, an error. You can't dwell on it. It's done. It's done. It happened. It transpired. It's all. It's already dust in the wind. Leave it where. Learn the lesson from it. Leave it where it is, because that's where it belongs. Don't take your past decisions and your past errors and mistakes into your present, because that destroys in everything that you worked so hard to obtain up to this point. Don't do it.
Can we unpack
Again,
that
I
a little
repeat that.
bit?
Understand? We got. Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
heavy one.
Let's unpack it.
That's so understanding that you're human, not blaming yourself for your mistakes, and not blaming yourself for somebody else's. Because if you go back into your lineage or childhood, some mistakes were made by people who were supposed to protect you. Now, I want to keep this the male perspective. And I don't know if men are willing to go here. That's a tough one.
Hmm.
What if there was mistakes
It
made
is.
that you didn't make at all, Brother Fred? You didn't make it, but yet it was
That's
put
true.
on was put on
That's
you.
true.
So that's kind of deep. Don't own anybody else's mistakes, please.
You know what? The thing about that is, and I'm glad that you mentioned that. I know. Exactly. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because the simple fact of the matter is there are instances that we we as men and also women have decisions, errors, and those mistakes are projected to us. And the onus is put on us to be the standard bearer for those mistakes. No, you made that mistake. I did not. That's on you. I'm not going to take responsibility for something that I did not personally do. However, again, people heap these things on us, and we're supposed to be the standard bearer or the flag bearer for someone else's lapse in judgment or someone else's screw ups. And unfortunately that's how it is, and it's not fair. And I think for some men, that's something that they really don't want to unpack, because it'll take them right back to the things that happened to them in their past, whether it was something that was um, physical abuse or something else that may have transpired. A lot of us don't want to unpack that and look at that for what that is, and just say, "Hey, it's not mine. It's it wasn't, it's not mine. It's not my weight to bear. It's not my mistake to own up to. It's not my error that I have to apologize for." We're only responsible. We should quote unquote only be responsible for the choices that we make, not for the decisions of other people. And yes, dysfunction is generational because, and I think a lot of us, a lot of men, and I'll also add women in here. We live in that, and we live in dysfunction. And what I'm about to say is probably going to offend a, a whole bunch of people this evening. But number one is true, and number two, I don't care. I really don't care. So, and what I'm about to say will tie into one or two of the other tenets of the letter that we're crafting here. A lot of the dysfunction can be I won't say can be wholly blamed, but the majority of it, I blame a lot of the dysfunction on some of these black Christian churches because they have this crazy idea, this crazy twisted and nonsensical idea of what a man is. And again, this I'm not I'm not saying this because and I said some, not all. So I don't want anybody to be offended by what I just said. And yes, tradition is to blame because a lot of these black Christian churches run off tradition, run off traditional religion, which to me doesn't really speak into the man. It doesn't necessarily speak life into the man. It kind of puts him in a bad a bad mindset. And again, I'm not speaking, and I'm not going to say that I'm speaking from church hurt because I'm not, but I'm also speaking from personal experience in it. But and again, I say some, not all, because some of these black Christian churches have a a mindset that is just completely screwed and skewed as to what what the true definition of a man should be, what a definition of a man should be, and that's not right. It's just not. You can't say that a man is supposed to be the head of the household, but get free rank it, but get free rank to emasculate him for something. You can't say that a man it's okay for a man to be sensitive. You can't say that it's okay for a man to be sensitive, but then you rake him over coals when he is. You can't say you can't tell a black man that he can be all that he can be, but yet you hold him down and keep him keep beneath your bootstrap. I mean, again, I'm not saying this because I know for a fact that there are a lot of Christian black churches out there that lift up the men in their congregation. But as we know, all men and women are created equal. All churches are created equal. I just thought I wanted to put that out there. Again, what I said is not meant to offend and not meant to put anybody on blast or put anything of that nature. But for me, from my personal experience and perspective, is factual. And again, I don't now do I blame the Christian black church for the mindset that I'm in? Nah, because majority of that was the result of the choices that I made, the the things I chose to do, and I had to learn how to take responsibility and accountability for those choices and learn the lesson from those choices and bad decisions and understand what that lesson mean what what meaning is for my life. So, yep, that is a question. That is a $64 million question. I want to hold that question toward the end of all of this because it needs to be asked. It needs to be asked. as loudly. But hold that question because we're gonna come back to that question because I want to ask it in the end, and I want Miss Gooden, I want you to respond to that. So I'm most definitely gonna copy paste that question, and we're gonna talk about it. We are most definitely going this particular letter, and so I am going to preface this third tenant with a lot of caution because when I bring about this particular tenant, it's probably going to it's probably going to bring a lot of negative talk and some negative feedback. But I'm gonna say it anyway. And at this particular point, it needs to be said, and I think it has to be put out there. Understanding that you are valuable beyond the zeros that adorn your bank account. Let me repeat that again for somebody that didn't hear that. Understanding that you are valuable beyond the zeros in your bank that adorn your bank account. Whew. Heavy, ain't it?
That's a heavy hitter, sir.
Heavy, heavy, ain't it? Really, really heavy. Y'all. So let's talk about that one.
Unpack it.
Let's really talk about that one. So before I go any further, I'm gonna preface what I'm about to say with this thing. Brothers, your value transcends the number of zeros. Let me repeat that again. Brothers, your value transcends the number. Why do I say this? Why do I even bother to mention this? Let's see. Women these days, modern women, not traditional women, mind you. Most modern women want, quote unquote, a high value man. Defined what is normally defined, so over 100K, nice car, nice clothes, nice place, got nice little jewels and things of that nature. Okay, and blah 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 blah, yada yada yada. Okay, let's just stop that right. Let's just put that at full stop right now. Please. And yes, I'm speaking to y'all first. Yeah, Bobby. And I most definitely said that. However, give me a minute. Give me a minute. I'm gonna unpack. I am gonna unpack it, ladies. Let me just throw this out here to you right now. And first and foremost, I'm gonna let y'all know this is free. This is free game. This is free game. Because if I have to tell you again, I'm gonna have to charge you for it. If the only thing you're looking at in a man is how many zeros that adorn his bank account, the, the type of car or the type of car he drives, the type of clothes or the brand of clothes that adorn his body, the jewels that may adorn his neck or fingers or wrist, and the type of house or whatever he has, you're looking in the wrong place. You're definitely looking in the wrong place. A man has value beyond that. You should meet a man and say, how much money do you make? Ladies, when's the last time you asked a man when's the last time you asked a man what his moral where his moral compass lies? When's the last time you asked a man what his pathos or his ethos is? When's the last time when's the last time you asked a man how he felt about anything? When's the last time you when's the last time you when's the last time you ever even asked a man those things? If you say that you haven't, shame on you. Again, I'm gonna say this again. If you haven't, shame on you. A man's value does it goes on the zeros. A high value man, in my opinion, just my opinion, may not be anybody else's opinion, but just mine. A high value man has high moral character, has self control, has self discipline, is considerate, is has a well defined pathos and has a well defined ethos. His ethical values are top notch, which means they're standards. His ethical values are top notch and right up there. His belief and his faith in God is up there as well. His drive and his determination is what pushes him. If y'all looking at somebody with beyond the, if I'm gonna say this, if women would look at a man beyond the zeros, you would find that there is a human being underneath all that. That there's a person of substance underneath all that. Why look at a man and say that you're attracted to dollar signs and money? Come on, y'all. Let's just be real. What are you gonna do when the money leaves? What are you gonna do when the money's going? You gonna leave him? What's gonna happen when the money runs out? What's gonna happen when you are not able to ride in that fancy car? What's gonna happen when you're not able to go on all these trips? What's gonna happen when you're not able to wear all these fancy clothes and these fancy shoes and all these have your body adorned with all these jewels? What are you gonna do then? How are you gonna look at that man? Are you gonna look at him as less than? Or you gonna call him a dusty? Or you gonna call him a broke ass? What are you gonna do when all that money's gone? I'll tell you what you're gonna do. You're gonna leave that man high and dry. You're gonna move on. You're gonna move on to the next sucker. And I'm saying this with a little bit of a and if anybody can detect a little bit of irritation and frustration in my voice, because yes, I am frustrated. I am irritated because I'm sick and tired of hearing women say that they want a high value man, and the only value they're looking at is the dollar signs. You're not looking beyond the dollar signs. And I'm also sick and tired of seeing seeing men we're seeing some of my brothers work themselves so hard just to get to a just to have a particular woman, only to have that woman devalue you. This goes for both sides. Never let an individual devalue you. The minute that person devalues you, you literally are you literally, and I mean literally, the minute that person devalues you, you literally have no purpose or no more bearing in their life, because your value to them is less than zero. Brothers, my brothers, please value hold yourself and hold yourself in much more higher esteem than that. Value yourself more than that. You have a pathos, you have an ethos, you have character, you have honor, you have fealty, you have loyalty, you have you're a gentleman. You believe that chivalry isn't dead. You you think on a higher level. You you believe in God, and you trust God, and to think you move into things of God. Value should go way well beyond money. Value should go well beyond what the name brand of whatever name brand of clothes I have on my body. I shouldn't be looked at or valued based upon what I wear, or what the jewel whatever adorns my neck, or whatever earrings may be in my ears. I don't wear earrings, so that's a or whatever. I shouldn't be value based upon a material look. And again, for women that do that, you for women and again, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna say this, and I do not mean to offend, but I'm gonna tell the truth, and I'm gonna tell the truth and shame the devil. Women, if you look at a man and all you see is dollar signs, shame on you.
Preach, Reverend Fred.
Serious disservice when you look at a man like that. And again, I will. A lot of this is there are so many places, there's so many fingers that can be pointed to this type of attitude, to this type of, I won't even call it rhetoric, but there's so many fingers to be pointed for this type of for this type of attitude, this type of thinking. Some of that comes from the Black Christian Church. Again, not to offend anybody, not to put anybody on blast, but again, I'm gonna tell the truth and shame the devil. There are doctrines that in, and I'm not gonna say that all churches do this, but again, some, not all, and I put emphasis on some again. They don't they don't give men the tools that they need to be successful. Some churches don't do this. Yet yet they preach that the man is supposed to be the head. It's kind of that's backward ass thinking to me. Excuse my French. But brothers, my brothers, please hear me and hear me well. when you know and understand your value. Now, to me, worth and value are synonymous to me. Just to me, it may not be synonymous to anybody else, but they're synonymous. Your value. When you notice you're more than just the zeros on a check or zeros in a bank statement, when you know that you're solid in your thinking, you're solid in your mind state, you you're stable, you're ethical, you have great moral character, you you're chivalrous, you have a clearly defined ethos, you have a clearly defined pathos. You know where you are in life, and you know the direction that you know the direction you need to take to get to a specific point in your life. When you know, and all these equate to value. When brothers, when we know our value, there's so many things that we could command. And I think that, once we understand our value, makes it makes our relations with women better. Well, some women, mind you, not all women, because they're and I'm telling you, brothers, when if you think there are not women out there that like those things, yes, there are women out there that like men with the things I just said. You know, to a lot of women, intelligence is sexy. To a lot of women, chivalrous is sexy. To a lot of women, determination is sexy.
Come on
To
in
a lot
here.
to a lot of women, you know, having a clear having a clearly defined ethos and a pathos is sexy. Having high moral character is sexy. All these things make you make you make will make will make you attractive to the right woman, and the right woman will see your value, your true value. And I say true value because, again, value isn't based upon money. A real woman who is a, oh man, thank you, Holy Spirit, thank you. A real woman who who sees your true value is indispensable.
Come on.
Is an indispensable life partner that will only continue to add value to you, because as you as the man, as the leader, as the head, as the provider and protector, as you add value to her, as you add your value to her, she's going to add her value to you. And then your values intermix and intermingle with each other. And then your determination rubs off, your determination transfers to her, and your moral character transfers to her. Your pathos and your ethos transfers to her, and she helps you take up on that mantle, and she will help you reach those higher heights that you're looking to reach. Trust me, bro. When I tell you, brother, there a woman that truly values you will those things, and it won't be an intrusion on her, because she understands where you need to go and where you got to go to get there. Y'all, both of y'all gonna climb that ladder together. Y'all gonna grind together. Y'all gonna work together. Y'all gonna laugh together. Y'all gonna cry together. Any woman that's worth her salt, any real woman that's worth her salt will understand the true value of a man, and it goes beyond dollar signs, y'all. And I was very long winded on that, but I had to make that clear in that, because way too many women and men place way too much value on money, material stuff, things that will not last forever. Material things have a shelf life. They don't last forever. Them clothes on your back ain't gonna last forever. Them shoes you wear, your feet get bigger. You gotta replace them. The car you drive, that fancy car you drive, wear and tear, gotta be replaced. The jewelry that you wear, again, it gets old and it deteriorates over time. It's gotta be replaced. All things I just mentioned are temporary. Value doesn't have a shelf life. Value is forever. Value will last until the end of this dispensation and the next and the next and the next. You can't put a time limit on value, because value is value. Because value is priceless. I'm just gonna put it out there. Value is priceless. Everything else is temporary. Has no bearing on no thing. And again, I'm sorry that I got long-winded, but that had to be clear. I had to make sure that part of it was absolutely, positively. What's the use of having all these things if someone can't see that? What's the use of having all that if someone can't see it? You know it. You have it. You're confident in it. What's the use of having all that if someone can't see that? And I'm gonna repeat this for them people in the back. I'm gonna repeat this. A real woman who is worth her salt will see the true value in a man. Period. Point blank. There's no ifs, there's no ands, or no buts about that. There's no gray area that needs to be defined. There's no fence you gotta straddle. None of that. When true value is recognized, it is nurtured. It is cared for. It is given room to grow. And the right woman will latch on to that, and she will take that and she will run with it, and she will make sure that you reach whatever pinnacle you trying to reach, because she knows and she understands what your value is, and she's gonna latch on to that, and she's gonna say, hey, I love you for who you are, and I love the values that you bring to me. Let's ride this wave and ride to the top. Simple, man. Just simple. Really, really simple, man. Really simple. And again, I was long-winded on that, and I'm I am not going to apologize for that, because what needs to be said has to be said, and usually what isn't said is understood. The fourth tenet of this letter that you possibly would craft to yourself, and this is another stickler for us gentlemen: forgiving yourself and others. It's another one. That's a hard pill to swallow for some of us. A really hard pill for some of us to swallow. let's unpack it, shall we? So, forgiveness. Let's just make something clear about forgiveness. Forgiveness isn't for the person that transgressed against you, it's for you, the transgressed. Let's just put that out there right now. Forgiveness isn't for the person that hurt you, it's for you. Let's just put that disclaimer out there right now. For a lot of us, for some of us men, and again, I will say some, not all, it is very difficult for us to forgive. It's difficult for us to forgive people who have wronged us and hurt us. It is difficult for us to forgive ourselves when we wrong and when we wrong ourselves. And it is difficult for us to find a way to accept forgiveness from someone else, from someone who's hurt us. Three things. What's the answer to that? What's the answer to those three things I mentioned? Well, it's not so clear. It's not so. Everybody thinks differently. Everybody feels differently. Everybody moves differently. But I can speak from the basics of it. Forgiveness is, for the most part, a transaction. Transaction between yourself, that person that wronged you, or yourself because you wronged yourself, and God. It's a basic transaction. And I'll start with forgiveness of self, because I think a lot of us men kind of don't like the simple fact of forgiving oneself. So I'll start from I won't start from the beginning, but I'll start from I'll pose a question. Think about the last time that you hurt yourself, or think about the last time that someone that you went through a traumatic event. Think about that. And you've wallowed in that, you've rolled in that, you've waded yourself out to them deep waters, and you decided to drown, and you decided to drown in that. And you never took the time or the opportunity, you never took the time or even gave yourself the opportunity to forgive yourself. Wanna know why? Because nope, you don't wanna know why? Because it's easier to go out to this deep water and try to to the deep waters and try to tread water. No, man. You go out to them deeper waters, you try to tread water, you're gonna get tired. And when you get tired, you're gonna drown. And a lot of us don't just will just drown and we'll just go under and don't mind drowning. That's not how that works. That's not how that works, guys. You're not supposed to you're not supposed to wade out to those deep waters and drown. Forgiving yourself is your life preserver. It's that life preserver that God throws out to you when you're in that when you're out there trying to tread water, and you trying to keep your head afloat and float. You get just a little bit tired, and every once in a while your head goes under, and then you pop back up to the surface and you try to tread water again, and then you get tired and you go back under again. No, forgiveness is a life preserver. It's a life preserver that God throws out there to you. Man, this is gonna be real emotional for me to say, but I have to say it. And Thank you, Holy Spirit, for popping this in my mind. Forgiveness of self is about looking at all those situations that you went through, or better yet, or better yet, peeling away all those layers, like peeling an onion or peeling a banana, or any other type of fruit that has an outer skin. Peeling away all those layers to reveal that hurt and that frightened boy that's up under all them layers. Trust me, you're not gonna like what you see when you peel away them layers, because you're gonna see that hurt and that frightened little boy, and you're gonna see all manner of scars and wounds. Some of those wounds are fresh. Some of those wounds are in different stages of healing. Some of those wounds are some of Most of those wounds are being inflicted by other people. Some of those wounds are being self-inflicted. And you're gonna look at that hurt and that frightened little boy. Your first instinct, your first instinct is to wrap your arms around him and protect him. No, no. Do not try to protect that person. This person took all those welts and all those wounds and all those scars on account of protecting you. You're gonna you're gonna see that little boy. You're gonna see tear stained cheeks. You're gonna see tears in his eyes. And again, the first instinct is to want to protect him. No, don't protect him, because what that hurt and that scared little boys went through has are things that are so a lot of, or most of the a lot of the experiences that you've already encountered: emotional abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, sometimes sexual, and in most cases sexual abuse. All these things even he's encountered and taken into him, and that's where all those scars and all those welts and all those wounds and all those tears come from. Comes from the simple fact that you, as a man, took all that in and suppressed it. You kept it there. You kept it there. You built that home right there. You built that home of hurt there. And that hurt and that frightened little boy had to take all that in. Hurt and that frightened little boy had to build a defense mechanism for himself. So that's where all the layers and layers and layers come from. It's a defense mechanism. He got tired of being exposed, got tired of being hurt, got tired of crying. So that's where all the layers come in. And what you did is peel away the defense mechanism. You peeled away the outer shell, and you revealed who you were, literally revealed who you are. So forgiveness of self is me to me in its most intimate form is confronting that hurt and frightened little boy and saying, "I'm sorry. I'm sorry for exposing you to all these things I'm sorry for putting you, I'm sorry for exposing you to all these things. I'm sorry for forcing you to put a defense mechanism around yourself to protect yourself. I'm sorry for making myself feel a certain way about myself. Forgiveness of self is literally just taking all the baggage that you got on your plane and either unpacking it or getting rid of it. There's some baggage that we carry that we as men don't want to get rid of, or we feel we have to hold on to it because we feel that that is a part of who we are. And no, it's not. Sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, emotional abuse, any type of abuse or whatnot, or even if you abuse yourself, that's not who you are. It's a part of it's a part of your experience, but it's not who you are. So some of that, so a lot of your baggage has to go. And forgiveness for of self is literally making yourself willing to get rid of the baggage. My brothers, ask yourself, are you look ask your- look at some of the experiences you've had. Look at some of the things that you've been through. Look at the times where you've had to look at that hurt and that frightened little boy. And you see those you see those tear-filled eyes, you see that tear stain, his tear-stained cheeks and all the wounds that he's taken in, and ask yourself, is it really worth it to continually hurt that inner you? Is carrying all that baggage even worth it? And if you want to carry that baggage, why would you want to carry it? I don't know. That's to me, that's forgiveness of self. Is looking at all the baggage that's on your plane, all the cargo that's on your plane, analyzing all that stuff and saying, and again, excuse my French, analyzing that stuff and saying, this shit got to go. It has to leave. It can no longer be a part of who I am. It can no longer permeate my life. It can no longer hinder my life. It can no longer be a crutch to my life and to the people that I care about, the people that I love, and the people that I want to be around me, the people that I want to protect. Think about that. Think about that. Now, forgiveness of others is it's a much more simpler process. Much more simpler process. Because all you have to do is ask that person to forgive you, or say, or if that person asks you to forgive them, it's a much more simpler process. However, it comes with a caveat. It's a simpler process. Like I said, it comes with a caveat. The caveat is this: you don't have to accept their forgiveness, and they don't have to accept yours. That's the caveat. That's the that's the straw. That's the straw. That's the needle in the haystack. You want to know why you want to know why that exists? Because I won't say simply because it just does, but forgiveness is not contingent upon. Sometimes people think forgiveness is contingent. No, not really. If you say that I'm sorry, and or if you say, or someone says, you know, can you forgive me for I would like for you to forgive me for what you've done, for what I've done to you, and they choose not to, that's okay. It's fine. You did what you had to do on your part. You opened up the invitation for forgiveness, and it's up for them to walk through the door. They're not required to walk through the door. And I think a lot of people hinge that on a lot of people make forgiveness conditional, and it's not condition. It's not conditional. Well, you got to forgive me. You got to forgive me. No, I don't. I don't have to. I'm not under any obligation to forgive you at all. Though, though God commands us and compels us to forgive, and we should, because that is the it's the it's the morally correct thing to do. It's the biblically correct thing to do. But for a lot of us, it's not the common sense thing to do. And like I said, forgiveness of other people is an easier process than forgiving yourself. But understanding it comes with a caveat, and that caveat is a double-edged sword. Either they can, either they can or they cannot forgive you, and you have the right. You also have the freedom and the right to do the same thing. But understand, and I want y'all to hear me when I say this. But understand this: God's word compels us, and commands us to forgive others. So think about it from that instance. Think about it from that instance when you decide you don't want to forgive somebody, or somebody decides they don't want to forgive you. You don't now. I wouldn't I wouldn't necessarily throw that out there to them, because that may be a sticking point with someone. But if they don't want to forgive you, that's fine. Again, that's fine. It's okay. You've already opened it. You've already opened the door to the invitation. It's up to that person whether they want to walk in or not. And I gotta say this, and I have to say this because I feel that it's important. Don't hinge your relationships on whether or not someone forgives you or not. If you ask them to forgive you and they chose not to, it's fine. It's all right. It's cool. Keep it moving. Keep it pushing. Because again, when you and I'm gonna put it in this particular vernacular. When you ask someone to forgive you, you literally opened up a door for them to walk in. And that door remains open. For that door remains open for as long as you exist. The door, they'll walk in the door. Just be prepared when they do walk in the door, because sometimes when you leave a door open and you have an open invitation for someone, that person becomes what's called an unexpected visitor. And you're looking at this person like, "Well, why the hell you here?" "Oh, I just want to accept your forgiveness that you asked of me like 2 weeks ago." I done forgot about that. What? But okay. Uh, if you accept my forgiveness, then cool. Then we're cool. All right. Not a problem.
I got a question for you, Fred.
Not a problem at all. Shoot.
Okay, Jim. Going back to forgiving others, and you mentioned that in some situations it may not be the sensible way to go. But is it possible to forgive? And it's not acceptance. It's not saying I accept what you did, but I'm going to forgive it for me. It doesn't mean I agree. It doesn't mean I appreciated it. It doesn't mean I would do the same thing. It's literally just freeing me of the hold that you had on me so I can move on. Just a thought.
I would agree to that. I would agree on that because that is a consensus. So the situation that you mentioned is like, I don't agree with what you did with me, but I'm going to forgive you because I don't want that to sit I don't want that to sit on my heart, sit on my soul, and sit on my conscience. So I agree with that. So some people do it just, and I won't say some people. You know, when I forgive somebody, it's direct straight from my heart because you know I want that person to understand that hey, it's okay. You know, yeah, you harmed me, but it's all right. It's cool. When I ask someone to forgive me, that's also sincere. Hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I didn't mean to hurt you. I didn't mean to offend you. I didn't mean to put you in a in an unfamiliar or dangerous situation. You know, and again, forgiveness is not for the person that wronged you. It's for you, the person that was wronged. But I also look at it as for the person that's offering as well, because a person that's sincere about asking to be forgiven, they say that from a point of number one, a point of vulnerability, but also from a very contrite heart. Because if they didn't speak from a contrite heart or they didn't speak from a moment of vulnerability, you know, sometimes we look at where people ask that or us we look at it as being fake or kind of just you're just doing it to go with the motions, and it's not necessarily and how some people interpret that. That's how some people interpret it. And it's not necessarily the case. You know, forgiveness comes for asking for forgiveness or asking to be forgiven comes from a sincere, contrite, and vulnerable heart. Or also the same three things I mentioned. And now you can add person to that in a state to where they feel they need to get this from you. And Lord have mercy, people will hound folks to get that because they feel that they can't move forward until they get those words, say those three words, I forgive you. But to the opposite, some people just don't want to forgive. And again, like you mentioned earlier, not forgiving places a burden upon you. Because now you gotta live with that because this person came to you in their most vulnerable moment, and it's with a sincere and very contrite heart, and they're telling you that they're in their most vulnerable and most sincere moment that they're sorry for hurting you. They're sorry for putting you in a situation to where it could be dangerous or emotionally hurtful or physically hurtful or whatnot. And then you choose not to forgive. The only question I'm gonna ask is what's wrong with you? That's the only question that I'm gonna ask. Because it doesn't make sense. Like I said, it forgiveness of others again, it's it's easier, but it comes with that caveat.
I'm not sure.
And the only reason I said it comes with that
Is it easier though? Because you
say that
mentioned
again.
three words. Is it really easier because you mentioned three words? Sometimes when you have somebody that has done something to you, all you really want to hear, I'm going to speak from my personal experience, is I am sorry, three words. But I'm like, what if they never think
Right.
they need to be forgiven? What if they never even acknowledge that they hurt you, didn't protect you, left you high and dry? But am I still commended to forgive, even though the person doesn't even think they did anything wrong. That's tough to me.
It is. It is. But the onus is on both, so still on both parties. Because number one, you're the affected party, the one that was hurt, the one that was put through those situations, put the whatever egregious or dangerous situations. And this other person just doesn't acknowledge that. It's not incumbent of you to drill that in their head. It's not incumbent of you to badger them about that. No,
You're right.
I'm not. If you hurt me and you choose not to apologize to me, I'm not gonna badger you about it. Why? You know what you did.
Right.
Not incumbent upon you to do that. And the funny thing with me, if someone hurts me and they choose not to forgive, they choose not to say I'm sorry, I'm not chasing nobody to the ends of the earth, nor am I gonna beg or browbeat someone to say that I'm sorry for hurting me. It At that point, if they don't want to do it, it is what it is. Heal myself at that point and move forward. Because when you do, the moment you do that, the moment you chase the moment you chase an apology, because what if you do what? Because so what if you live your whole life? What if this person hurts you, and you live a full life, and that person never apologizes to you? What are you gonna do? You can't. I mean, you lived your whole life. You haven't got an apology. Why chase it now?
Very true.
I'm not gonna chase something that I'm not gonna chase an apology that I know I'm not gonna get. Why do it? Stupid. To put it in plain words, stupid and ridiculous. Why? Why do it? Because it's not going to so I'll put it like this. In chasing an apology, ask yourself this question. Am I gonna be a better person, or am I gonna be satisfied if that person gives me a mediocre apology, or if they don't apologize to me at all?
Mm-mm. It won't change what happened. So what's the point, right?
Ask ex- exactly. So if this person never apologizes to you, whatever. They don't and that's the choice that they made. And they have to deal with the consequences of that choice. For you, as a person that was hurt, that hasn't received an apology, keep it moving, keep it pushing, and keep moving forward. Because I mean, you're chasing something that you're not gonna get. Yes, yes, yes. If you got to chase the apology, the cost will be real.
Yep. Bring your own closure. Close
Because
the door yourself.
why? Because yeah, why are you chasing? Why are you chasing closure? The one I'm gonna say this, and I think what I'm about to say applies to both men and women. Never, ever chase closure. The moment you chase closure, that is the moment you set yourself up for disappointment. Because you chase it for some form of closure, and that you never get it, you're gonna be disappointed and you're
Every
gonna be hurt.
time. Yes.
So of that are dire. And on top of that, you set yourself back. You so I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna use this analogy. You went through that hurt, and you worked through that, and you forgave yourself, and you pushed forward your whole life. You pushed forward for the rest of your life. and you're good, and you're cool, you're good, and you're cool. The moment you chase an apology, you set yourself back, sir. You set yourself back right to the point to where you got hurt. Now you got to start over from square one, and it's going to be much, much harder to climb back up that hill.
That's right. Like chutes and ladders. You're gonna go all the way back to the beginning.
Exactly, exactly. Or better, like you play a Monopoly, and you get on that, you land on that go to jail sign. No,
That's right.
you can't. You go to jail. You don't collect it. You don't pay. You pass go, but you don't collect. But you collect $200. You go to jail. So why set yourself back? Especially when you worked so hard to get yourself over that particular thing, and now you set yourself back. Now you set yourself back 20 years. You put yourself right back in the position of the where you were when you got hurt. That's hard. That's a harder climb,
And
because
you
now you got to
forfeit.
climb right back over the same bones.
Mhm.
Yes, you do. You do. And you got to climb right back over them same bones that you climbed over the first time. And who the hell wants to do that? Not me. It's a harder climb. It's a harder fight. I rather my fights. I don't necessarily want my fights or my battles to be easy, but I don't necessarily want them to be extra hard. But at the same time, if they do become extra hard, that's why we have God, and that's why we have Jesus. That's why we have the Holy Spirit, because those battles are exponentially easier when we have those three entities with us. But also they become easy mode when we put on the whole armor of God, because their armor is defensive and offensive. You know, and we're able to repel offensive attacks from the enemy, but we're also able to defend ourselves and strike back when we need to. So no, man, no. I rather work smarter, not harder. And besides, when we have those three entities, God, Jesus Christ, and the Holy Spirit, as well as when we are properly, and I do mean the word properly, armored up, we are able to, you know, why put myself in a situation that I have to fight? I have to fight to get back to the front, fight myself to get back to where I was, when I don't have to do it, when I don't have to do that.
Right.
I'm I'd rather not do that. That at the end of the day, that's emotionally taxing, and that takes more out of you emotionally than it does the person that you're chasing, because they don't give a damn. They don't give a damn one way or the other.
Right. They
They
would.
don't care if you're the one
Like I was saying.
chasing an apology or not. They don't care.
Right. They don't care. Clearly.
Nope. Exactly. They don't. Nope. Nope. And they're serving their own self interest. Same thing you should be doing by not chasing an apology. It's not worth it. It's not worth it. It's not worth it in the end. It's not worth the price you pay for it in the end, because again, it sets you right back to the time, to that exact moment. I won't say the exact moment in time, but it sets you back in that time where you were hurt, where you were initially hurt, and now you got to live that hell all over again. Why? For what? Not worth it. It's not worth the years you lose in that. Nope, not doing it. Not gonna do it. I personally won't do it, and I advise anybody else not to do it either. At the end of the day, chasing an apology, bad. Leaving sleeping dogs where they lie, good, because they're not interested. They're not interested in they're truly not interested in apologizing to you, but yet you're interested in obtaining an apology. That's like mercury and water. It don't blend. It don't blend at all. The last tenet of this particular letter that you may or may not craft, that you as a man may or may not craft, is moving forward with power and with purpose. Forward progress is something that we all have to have in order for us to get to where we need to be. We all have to move forward. When we move forward, we don't look backwards. You can look to the left and you can look to the right, but you can't don't you dare look backwards. Now, moving forward with power and purpose, that's something completely different, but it's also a very powerful tenet. Let me explain. When a man moves forward, or when we all move forward, we all know the direction. It's straight ahead. And sometimes moving forward, there are bumps in the road, there are curves and hills and valleys that we all pass through on life's highway. Sometimes our vehicle catches a breakdown. We got to fix it. We catch it flat, or we have engine trouble. We got to pull it to the shop and we got to pull ourselves into the shop and get fixed and get healed. That is pretty much the nature of us driving down life's highway. Now, when you're driving down life's highway with power and purpose, of course you're still gonna experience these breakdowns and all these other things, but they're not gonna be as taxing, or they're not gonna be as taxing or egregious on you. People who move in power, they move with the intimate knowledge of knowing that they can accomplish anything. People who move in power move with the intimate knowledge and knowing that God God is the driver of that vehicle and they're the passenger. People who move in power know their destination. They know how they know their destination. How they may not know they may not know the GP, they may not know how to get to that destination, but they know the destination. People who move in power that with God as a pilot, nothing there's anything that could be foreseen will be anything that could happen can be seen way far in advance and can either be circumvented or can be avoided altogether, or it can just be driven through, under, over, around, above. What however it goes. So yeah, people who move in purpose, they know they know the end point of where they're traveling. But they also know they also know what that is what that entails along the way. They know the people that they have to impact. They know the people they have to affect. They know the people that they have to touch. They know the message that they have to leave behind, or at least not only leave behind but leave forward. Now, As a man, as a man, all these things are true. There's also an added caveat to that. Moving in power and purpose, or moving forward in power and purpose, is understanding that you are the leader, that you are the head. You're the person that drives, especially in a marriage. You're the person that drives that vehicle forward. You're the leader. Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell y'all something. Everybody ain't fit to lead. Some people are natural. Some people are just natural followers. That's not a problem. That's not a problem. I don't have an issue with that. So, but those who are leaders, well, let me walk back a little bit. In order to be a leader, you have to be led first. You can't lead anybody without being led, without first being led. You can't give anybody directions unless someone gave you directions. So let's just start from there. Moving it forward, empowerment is is for me is a trademark of a leader. Someone who leads in his home, a man who leads in his home, a man who leads in the boardroom, a man who leads outside his home, a man who leads in his religious organization, a man who leads in his in the way he lives his life, in the totality that he lives his life. And when you lead, you lead with purpose. You lead with power. But but also in those same things, leading with power and purpose also means that you lead with empathy, that you lead with care and concern for your fellow man, or your fellow man. You lead with you lead with both eyes open, not one eye open and one eye closed, or not both eyes closed, both eyes open. A leader sees possibilities. A leader that moves in power and purpose, they see possibilities. They also seek solutions. A leader that moves in power and purpose, a leader that moves in power and purpose tackles problems head on. They always look for solutions. They never back down from a problem. They never back down from a conflict. Leaders don't seek conflict. They seek to end conflict. They seek to negotiate. They seek to find ways to where everybody can get along. Leaders don't always lead from the front. Let's just make that clear.
That's good.
Leaders do not always lead from the front. Some leaders lead from the back. Some people will look at that as, well, the person they're supposed to lead always supposed to be in the front. Not true. A true leader assesses the battlefield, situation, and puts people in place to where proper solutions and proper conflict management can happen. Now, the stuff that I'm talking about is relates to business, but it also relates to man. It also relates to us as men in our homes, in our personal lives. How we manage our friendships, with other people. How we deal with conflict with other people. How we deal with conflict with our spouses. How we deal with conflict with our children. How we properly manage our children. How we manage our friends. How we manage our spouses. Leaders put people in positions to succeed. Put people in positions to succeed, to prosper, to grow, to be able to transcend and evolve. The same that what I just mentioned in business goes the same for us in our marriages, in our personal lives. We as leaders of our home, we want to make sure that our children are put in the proper positions so that they can succeed and prosper and evolve as people. The same thing with our spouses. We want to make sure that our spouse is in the right position to where she can succeed, she can prosper, she can grow, and she can evolve as a not only as a wife, not only as a woman, but also as a wife. Same thing goes with our personal relationships with our interpersonal relationship with people. Leaders see the best in people. Leaders always will put someone in a position that accentuates their strengths and never puts out, that never blasts their weaknesses. Same thing in business. It goes in marriage and how we as men manage our relationships and our children. If I know my spouse is good at one thing, my spouse is strong in this area, say finances, and I know that I'm not the greatest in finances. I'm gonna put my wife in that position to where she can properly manage our finances so that we don't have to worry about how the next bill is gonna get paid. That's what she's strong at. Let me put her in that position. Leaders also understand when and how to consolidate power and responsibilities. Same in business, same as in our interpersonal relationships. If I cook, then my wife will do the dishes, and vice versa. If she sweeps the floor, I'll mop it. You know, if she vacuums the floor in our living room and vacuums the floor in our bedroom, I'll make up the bed. You know, if she helps the kids get settled as far as giving them a bath and things of that nature, I'll put them to bed. Or if she feeds them, I'll help them with their homework. Leadership in the home comes with compromise, not capitulation. There's a difference between capitulation and compromise. Leadership in the home comes with compromise. It's a give and take. It's a give. Leaders know how to give and take. Leaders are selfless. Leaders in business and in the home are selfless. I think women love it and they find it sexy to know that their spouse their spouse is a selfless leader.
Absolutely.
He doesn't put himself before. He doesn't put himself above his wife. He walks hand in hand with her. A leader in the home understand that leadership is a partnership, meaning that your spouse will always acknowledge that you're the leader, but it also knows that you guys work in tandem to get things done. to get things accomplished. Moving forward with power and purpose is a evolutionary process for us as men, because how are we going to grow if we don't move forward? We also have to understand power. People think that power is something that is, well, let's just put it like this. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. A true leader understands power, but he also understands the limits of that power. He also understands the structure of that power, and he doesn't use that power to gain an unfair advantage or to disenfranchise someone. Same thing, it goes in business. It goes in the same principle follows in the home. A husband or a husband should never abuse his power in a marriage with a woman. He understands that leadership has certain aspects of power, but he also should understand the limits of what that power is. And for any man that oversteps their boundaries in leadership, you're not a leader. You're just a manipulator with narcissistic tendencies. Leaders are not narcissistic.
That's good.
I'm gonna repeat that. Leaders are not narcissistic. Leaders are benevolent. Leaders don't act. They think first. The same thing I mentioned in business and anything else. It also applies in the home. As a husband and the leader of your home, you're not going to act first. You're going to think. You're always gonna lead benevolently, not with malicious intent. Leaders move. Leaders don't have to beat their chest and say I'm a leader. Leaders are quiet. Leaders leaders exude quiet confidence, not malicious arrogance. I don't have to beat my chest and say, "Look at me," to say I'm a leader. I don't have to do that. My actions and my intentions tell you that I'm a leader. I don't have to sit up and say, I don't need to have a sign that's above my head say, "Hey, look at me." Not my style.
Let's
Not the way
unpack
I do
that.
things.
Let's unpack that. So,
Let's unpack
what
it.
about the person that may be in leadership, but in his mind, because of where he comes from, he or she has to wear the t-shirt, "I am in charge," because growing up, they were told that they were stupid, insignificant, dumb, inadequate. So because of all the negativity that they were fed, whether it was from parents, whether it was from really mean kids, whether it was from teachers, they now feel as though, I have something to prove. So I need people to know I am the leader, because sometimes people lead from where they came from, and some of their characteristics are, or they're overcompensating for some inadequacies growing up.
If you got to wear a T-shirt that says I'm the HNIC, then you really ain't. If you got
That part.
if you got to parade around and say I'm the guy in charge, then you're really not.
I agree.
If you're doing all that, you're overcompensating for something. You're overcompensating for something. Don't know what you overcompensating for, but you overcompensating for something. If you leaders, the leaders don't behave in that manner.
Not real ones and not secure ones, they don't. And not ones that are in it for impact and not for their
Exactly.
own personal gain.
You know what? And that brings about another point of mine. Leaders, true leaders are doing what they do for impact and effect, never for personal gain.
Yes.
Because the minute you do something for personal gain, you lose. Leaders don't seek accolades. Don't seek they don't seek accolades. Even though accolades are thrown upon them, they're like, I'm just doing my job. Leaders are humble. And yes, someone put something in the chat. In order to be a leader, you have to also have to be a servant as well. Yes, leaders, in order to serve,
I
in order to
agree.
be a leader, you have to serve.
125%.
Leaders are subservient people. They're subservient first. They're subservient to now. I'm gonna say this, and this for me is for the home dynamic. A husband is a wife is subservient to her husband, but it also in the same breath, a husband is subservient to her wife, to his wife, and the children are both subservient to mom and dad. So, and people look at me like, well, that's not how the doc that's not a, that's not the dichotomy of how that goes. Yeah, it is. The husband is the head. The wife is the helpmate or the helpmeet. The wife is subservient to the husband, but also that husband is also subservient to that wife to his wife. People look at like, well, it that's backward. It don't work that way. Why shouldn't it? Why shouldn't it? If he's a leader, he has to serve. And the one thing that I think that a lot of people don't understand or they don't get the concept of servant leadership. Well, what's that? That's when a leader that's when a leader serves. That leader takes himself out of that leadership position and now becomes a servant. They can still lead. They're still a leader, but they're also serving as well. They're serving. They can be serving their employees. They could be serve a husband can serve a husband can be a servant leader to his wife when he does things for her, like cook her breakfast or runs her bathwater or things of that nature. A husband can be a servant leader in his home a husband can be a servant leader in his home without being emasculated.
Very true statement.
No one understands that. And no one gets that. No one understands that. And no one gets that. And no one understands the concept of servant leadership. And again, in order to lead, you must first serve. That's one of the things. That's one of the first things that they taught. They one of the things that one of the tenets that they taught me when I went to boot camp, but also when I went to my service school. In order to lead, you first got to serve. And there were several examples in my in in my um in my military journey. You know, there was a there was a first class petty officer um that made sure that and he was a leader, or the leader of our little small of our little was taken care of. Sometimes that taking care of meant coming out of his own pocket, and he was totally okay with that. That's a leader that is the example of a leader who serves. They're a servant leader is not afraid to put themselves in a servant's shoes. They don't do it, but they don't do it because they have to do it, or because they are commanded to do it, or they're told to do it. They do it because they want to do it, and they
And
enjoy serving other
yeah,
people.
they enjoy it. I like that, Fred. I like that. It's a joy that they receive, and
What?
it's something that they enjoy doing. They don't have to be pumped and primed. It's an innate
Yeah.
part of who they are. God loves a cheerful giver. People love a cheerful leader.
Oh yeah. Oh yes. Oh yes. When you can lead and you can have a smile on your face, you can have a smile on your face when you do it, knowing that what you're doing as a servant leader has impact and effect. It could possibly have a larger impact and effect throughout the whole spectrum of that person's life. It could possibly affect other people that are connected to that person. That to me, that's the definition of what I feel leadership is. It is something that that affects with impact, but also has a trickle down effect, because that impact not only impacts that person, but it also impacts other people that are either directly or indirectly connected to that person, to where everybody benefits, even the leader benefits. But like I said before, a leader doesn't seek to gain an advantage or a benefit. The benefit from that leader is just to see someone someone's life impacted, someone's someone's life changed, someone does a complete 180 and changes their life for the better. It's the same thing that has the same thing in business. It is in the home, but it's also with a personal development of a man. Moving forward with power and purpose means that you evolve, you learn, and you evolve. You evolve as a leader in your home. You evolve as a leader in your business. You evolve as a leader in your community. You evolve as a more vocal person when things are not the way that they should be. It's all about the evolution. A lot of I won't say a lot of us, but some of us men don't want to evolve. And evolution is the natural process of being a human being. We all evolve. We all have to evolve, because if we don't evolve, then we devolve. We go right back to who we were when we were growing up, or even worse, we go back to an infant stage, which unfortunately that's what happens when you get older. When we all get older, we I think we're born. I think, and this is kind of a funny analogy that I think of sometimes. So we're born as helpless kids. Some of us die. Some of us die. Some of us die that way through through debilitating illnesses, conditions. Unfortunately, as we get older, our physical bodies deteriorate, and we sometimes we die, and we die as a helpless child. It's kind of a rough analogy to put it that way, but it's the best way that I know I can. It's the best perspective that I know to put it in. But As look, men, brothers, as men, we have to learn to evolve. We have to learn to acknowledge who we are, who and what who we are, whose we are. We have to understand that we're human and we're more than the totality of our mistakes. We have to understand that we're valuable. We have to understand that we we have to forgive self and others. We also have to move in power and purpose. For me, those will be the five tenets of a letter that I would craft for myself. And each tenet looks at a particular aspect of your life as a whole. Understanding who you are, understanding that, you have to take accountability and responsibility for the errors that you commit and learn the lessons that are involved in them. Understanding that your value, you understand that you bring value to not only yourself but also to the woman that you're interested in, or your spouse. Understanding that forgiving yourself and others is an integral part of moving forward with power and purpose. Because now when you move, because true leadership, a true leader moves in those two things, but they also understand what power is. They also understand what purpose is, but they also know that they put people in positions to win and to succeed and evolve. Evolution is a process, guys, and we all have to go through that process. It's a difficult process for us to do, but with time, with patience, with support from from our significant others, and also with just literally just looking into ourselves and saying that I'm worthy of this. We will evolve. And if you don't evolve, I mean, if a human being that doesn't evolve is stuck somewhere. Whether they're mired in the past, or whether I won't even say stuck in the present, but whether they're worried about something in their present. Because let's just be honest, you we don't meet tomorrow until we don't meet tomorrow until we wake up tomorrow. Yesterday is already gone. Today is here. We don't meet tomorrow. We don't meet tomorrow until we're unless we're given the grace to meet tomorrow.
That's right.
And I think the one thing I want to stress for us as men, that we don't give ourselves enough grace. We don't give ourselves enough grace to be human. We don't give ourselves enough grace to be men. We don't give ourselves enough grace to be vulnerable and sensitive. We don't give ourselves enough grace to show emotion when we need to show emotion, or cry when we need to cry. We don't give ourselves that grace because we've been conditioned to show this tough, strong, and exterior. And that's not how that goes. Everybody, and let me repeat this, everybody has been given grace under God. Why is it that we as men don't give each other that grace? We don't give ourselves that grace. Why? Because we feel we don't deserve it. We feel that we don't deserve the grace that God gave us because the totality of our actions or the totality of the mistakes that we made makes us ineligible for receiving grace. Nah, you have grace. Give that to yourself. You're not ineligible to receive grace because you've already been given it. You just gotta learn we as men have to learn how to tap into it. Give yourself that grace. Give yourself that time to forgive yourself. Give yourself that grace understand who you are. You know, it's a hard thing to do because we don't want to give it. We don't want to give ourselves that because we feel that we're not eligible to receive it or we're not worthy to receive it. And when it's the exact opposite, we are eligible to receive it. We are worthy to receive it. Matter of fact, to be more specific, we've already been given it. Why not use the tools that you've been given? Grace is one of the tools that we as human beings, men especially, have been given. We just have to be better. Not just for us, but for the people who love us and trust us.
Fred, let's unpack that for a second.
For the people who have grace. Something I think we all don't have. Well, something we don't have. Yep.
So look at this scenario. You have a little boy on a bike and a little girl on a bike. Okay. They're riding on this bike. The little girl falls. Okay.
Got it.
The little boy falls. They both fall at the exact same time. What is the reaction to the little girl? Oh, baby, you hurt yourself. Bad bike. Bad bike. I'm going to beat that bike up because you done hurt my baby. The little boy is told, if you don't get up off that floor and stop crying, get back on that bike right now. So sometimes the lack of grace that's not given to yourself, I'm telling you, sometimes it's indoctrination. Boy, don't you dare cry. Boy, straighten up. Now the little girl, they done called the ambulance. They done wrapped her up in toilet paper.
Yep.
They done called all the prayer warriors from all jurisdictions. And the little boy was like, no, he could be bleeding, bone sticking through the skin. Boy, if you don't put that bone back in the socket and keep on going. Indoctrination.
You know what? And the thing of it is, and you're right. But the simple fact of it is, I'm gonna be honest with you. As a kid, I didn't see that. I didn't see that grace given to me as a boy, as a young boy, as a young boy, even as a young man. I've seen my father go through countless injuries, and it's the simple he'll get up, dust himself back off, and get right back to it. And like you said, it's indoctrination. I won't say I was never I never saw grace as a young kid or as a young man, because I saw it in spurts, but I never saw it as something that was a constant thing in my life. It took me till I got 40 years old to understand what the hell grace was, and that I was eligible and capable of having it. I never knew what that was because I was never given it. And the funny part about it is like, even through all the mistakes and the things that I went through as a kid, as a child, and as a young man, and as an adult, again, I had no idea what grace was until I was 40 years old, and understood that it was something that I could have, or something that I was able to have, or able to know that I was able to use or utilize as a tool. Never saw that. And I saw my father, just evolve through all that. He gives himself grace now because of his experiences in life. but because he's also seen a lot and he's done a lot. So he gives himself grace now. But 40 years old, and I did, and that's when I was introduced to grace. That's when I was introduced to mercy. That's when I was introduced to kindness. I was introduced to kindness well before that, but I wasn't introduced to grace and mercy until I was introduced to those other ones until I was much older. And understanding that both of those were available to me. Well, damn. I've been living as a young kid and a teenager all this time, and grace and mercy was something that was already set aside for me. What?
Wow. That's deep.
And nobody had the common decency to show nobody had the common decency to show me that or to give me that. Hell, I mean, even when I was in my 20s and I went through the little stages I went through, and you know, going through a situation of abusing a female, going to jail, and then being abused by somebody, you know, I think in those instances I understand. I think those were great. I think those parts were mercy and grace because I was right where I wanted to, where I think God had put me right where I needed to be at the time in order for me to move forward and heal. So I do believe in that instance there was some small snippets of grace and mercy, but I never understood what those were. I didn't understand what those were. I just thought that I thought somebody was looking out for me, and the whole time it was God showing me grace and mercy. I thought it was something else, and I never understood. Again, I never understood what the concept truly meant, and what it meant for me as an individual, or how it impacted me as an individual until I got older, and it literally blew my mind.
Does that go back to what you said about the
I was
black
like, damn,
church? Does that go back to what you said about the
yeah,
church
it does.
earlier
It does. It
and
does.
what
It
was
does.
taught? Hmm.
Yep, it does because in most cases, grace and mercy isn't always extended to the man.
Exactly.
It's extended to this. It's extended to the woman in the church, and because and let's just be honest here, and just really just put it out there, just to put it out there. The majority of churches now, black Christian churches now, are women, are the congregation mostly comprised of women.
Yep. 99.9%.
You won't use. Yep. Women are more apt to intercede, to go into intercessory prayer for somebody. Women are more apt to pray for, just to be on the altar and pray, and or just be in their pew and pray. Do you see, you don't see a man standing up, and you don't see a man standing up with his hands up in the air, do you?
Not often. Not often. Now
And
that you put it
if
like
you do,
that.
it's kind of a rare. It's
Mm-mm.
kind of a and if
It's
you do, it's a
rare.
rare sight.
It's rare. I would like
And if
to.
you do, it's like, exactly, like spot like spotting an endangered species, like you looking at an endangered species, like, damn, that's rare. So
But
it
why
so it
is
does go
that
back to that,
though? Is there
because in most
something?
cases,
Why is that?
it search me. I couldn't even tell you because I don't personally know. It's just the things. It's just what I've seen. You know, going to black Christian churches. You know, the church that I went to as a kid was a Southern Baptist church out in Winston, Georgia. My uncle was the Reverend emeritus to that church. And the thing of it is, there was a stark difference. I could say from me going to church as a kid to now going to a church as an adult. There were more men in the church when I was a kid. You did see that. You saw men in the church. You saw those men operate in those positions as deacons and and um and armor bearers and things of that nature. Now, not so much.
That's interesting
And
in itself.
I think it's because the yep. Yeah, it's not often you will see a man in worship, and when you do, it's because they have a true relationship. That is correct. That is very correct. But again, seeing a man that has a true relationship but that worships, it's almost like watching an endangered species.
It is. It
It's like
really
you have to
is.
put it. You go like seeing an endangered species. It's like a endangered species. You put a tag on him, and you want to monitor their movements for the next few years to make sure they don't go extinct or something like that. And like I say, reason why men don't show up in worship is because it shows vulnerability in his emotions. However,
Wow.
the other part of it is that when the other part of it is that when a man does show his emotions or his vulnerability in that type of setting, sometimes, not all the time, and it does depend on the church, not depends on the church, but also depends on the leadership of that church. Sometimes, if that man shows vulnerability or emotions, that man's emasculated or he's raked over the coals for it.
Very true.
And I mentioned that earlier. I mean, there are times where I can say that I've tried that I was so I'll say this, and I'm not gonna name any names just to protect those people. I was at a church, and I was at a church at a time where um, I just lost my son, and I was having a hard time trying to get the words and the emotions out. And one of the brothers was saying, man, and this was probably like maybe 2 or 3 years afterwards. I think it's time you kind of like get over that, huh?
Wrong
What?
answer, sir. No way. No way.
What are you talking? What are you talking? What are you talking? What are you talking about? Get over it, huh? Grief doesn't have a time limit, does it?
No,
And the
absolutely
funny part
not.
about it is, I made, and I had to ask somebody to confirm it. I asked a good friend about, hey, does grief have a time limit? She said no. I said, okay, I'll just make sure because I wasn't tripping. Because this person just told me I got to get over what I'm feeling about my kid, and then to
No.
be raked over the coals about it.
No. Wrong. Wrong. Houston, we found a problem. Wrong.
And and for me, that was like a large point of contention. And I'm like, okay, so if I'm gonna come here and I'm gonna be raked over the coals about what I'm doing, well, guess what? Church ain't gonna be as enjoyable for me as it was when I started. It's just a damn formality. I'm just showing up because because of my wife. That's it. I'm just here. Don't talk to me. Don't say nothing to me. Don't approach me. Don't do nothing. I'm just here. Don't even say
Real
hey to
talk.
me because I ain't gonna because I'm gonna look at you and probably cuss you out.
That's real talk. Because he was
And
wrong.
and I'm and I'm gonna say this. A lot of men a lot of men, that is their mentality when they look at church. I'm just going because my wife or
Wow.
my significant other going. I'm not going to gain anything from it.
Hmm.
I'm just going because my wife is my significant other here. I'm just going because it's wasted because it's wasted time, wasted time me until 1 o'clock so I can go watch a damn football game.
Wow.
That's it. That for me, that's it. That's all. And that was my thought process. I mean, and I'm pretty sure there are men who share that same thought process. They don't want to go to church. Matter of fact, they det- they detest going.
Wow.
Matter of fact, they abhor. They don't. For them, going to church is a chore.
Not good. Not good at
It's
all.
a chore that they don't want to do.
I'm saddened by that.
But I mean, but
I am.
I'm saying, but it, but if you look at it, it is a fact of some. It is a fact of some men. That's the way they look at it. Again, I
Right.
can't speak for every man. I can speak for me personally because that was my experience and perspective. But I'm pretty sure there are some men who think the same,
Mhm.
who think along the same lines as I do. Church, what's that? I want to go to church. I ain't going. Why? Because I don't want to. Why you want to go? If I go, it's for the benefit of you. It ain't gonna be for the benefit of me because I felt like I got no benefit out of it.
Mm.
What am I gonna sit here and listen to a sermon on Sunday for when what am I sit here and listen to a sermon for when you already done raked me over the damn coals? What am I gonna listen to a sermon for when we've already emasculated me and you made me
Mhm.
feel like I was less than? Why do that? You now again formality.
But how
For
does
me,
that
a
translate?
means to an end. How about that?
How does that translate to what you said earlier about being a leader? If a man was leading in his marriage and he told his wife what you said, when I went to this church, I was made to feel blank. And as a man and as the leader of this family, I would like us to go to a different church or seek out a more appropriate, conducive place to worship to where I feel I can worship alongside of you and not feel like I'm coming because of you.
There would have to be a discussion,
Mhm.
a very long discussion, and and for me, I would have to air out I would have to air out my grievances and be totally transparent about what my grievances are
Yes.
or how I felt.
Yes.
What two things we can we can go to another church, or we don't got to go to another church, or we can stay where we at. It's 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 a double edged sword, and you pick which side which edge you want to get cut with. Like I said, for me, let's sit down, let's talk about this. Here's your pros, here's my cons.
Mm-hmm.
Let's kind of put these together and see which one outweighs the other, and let's come about a solution. Let's go visit some other churches. For
Mm-hmm.
maybe like 3 or 4 consecutive Sundays. Let's visit some more churches in our neighborhood besides our home church and see what the experience is.
Yes.
You know, Coco says it all the time. Coco says it all the time. Test the spirit by the spirit.
Yes. Yes.
So Coco says that all the time, and that would be my thought process. Te- Test the spirit by the spirit.
Right. And a
If
woman that
if that
loves you.
experience is a better experience for
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Mm-hmm. A
full
woman that
understanding.
loves you, and the one that you described in what was that, number 3? That's not worrying about the zeros and that
Yep.
really wants to enjoy a worship experience with her significant other or husband, that wants him to be fed, that wants him to have a authentic relationship with Christ and an authentic spiritual experience with Christ, would not have a problem with having that conversation. As a matter of fact, would probably say, well, why don't you want to go back? And then hopefully you will open up and say, because I experienced blank. And she would say, oh. We need to talk about that because I need
Yep.
you to get what you need, because their love for you is not going to want you to leave unfulfilled. Period. That would not
Exactly.
sit well with a
It-
person who's attached to you for the right reasons. It just wouldn't sit well.
no, it wouldn't. and that person will do everything that they can to make sure that you are able to have a enjoyable experience, an experience that where you can not only be fed and led, but also, you know, be empowered to be vulnerable, to be open, you know. And
Mm-hmm.
again, like I said, you don't want to go nowhere and be raked over the. You don't want to go to a church and be raked over the coals for being vulnerable or being sensitive. Why?
You don't want to do
Why would
that.
you? Why would
You
someone
don't
want
want
to
to
go
do
there?
that.
Go
You
to any
don't.
place of worship and be yeah.
But you know what? Also,
But
Fred,
the
that
majority of
person,
men,
that person would need to be um talked to. I also feel like if people encounter things when stuff happens in church and we don't address the issues, why? But we'll go to a store and write a bad review if they don't do wrong or do right. It should almost be similar. If you encounter something like as serious as what you just described during your time of grief, vulnerability, your feelings just raw. My husband would know. I would be like, okay, dear pastor, can we have a meeting? I'm gonna give you the benefit of the doubt. Maybe it was just that one person. But if you continue to feel that a couple times, maybe it's the ministry. Because sometimes the ministry might be good. It's just that particular person was having a bad day. He's not been trained and equipped on how to be open and kind and accommodating to the congregants. That's just me.
true. But think about it from this aspect as well. Think about it from the other this opposite aspect.
Mm-hmm.
A negative encounter or a negative review.
Mm-hmm.
What 90% 90% out of 100, what does that look like in a church when someone's been given a negative review or being openly rebuked? That person gets looks that funny.
You're right.
That person gets looked at with disdain. So there's that aspect to it. If being open and vulnerable and saying, "Hey, look, maybe we need to talk about this, or maybe we need to talk about this or that, or so forth," and then they talk about it, and then the person that offended, that brought on the offense, hears about it, and now there's gossip, and he say she say
Mm.
around the church, and now the person that brought it to the pastor's attention is looked like the devil's stepchild.
Like in a corporate environment, you the
And
whistleblower.
exactly, exactly, the whistleblowers looked at, they was like, who are you? And the funny part about it is whistleblowers are federally protected. A person that whistleblows in the church ain't protected federally.
You got that. You got
They are
that
looked at
right.
as the devil's
They on
stepchild.
their own.
Yeah, they're the devil's stepchild. Look at that person. He had the audacity to say that about him. I can't believe he even said that. He not a true follower. He not a true brother in Christ. He's a Benedict Arnold. He's a turncoat. He a snitch. All that negative stuff.
And that leads to church hurt.
And when yep, and when you look at the totality of all that, that's the reason why some men, not all, don't even want to bother with the formality of church, because for them it's a means to an end. I'm only going because my wife here, because my wife goes. I'm only going because of my wife and kids, because they're being spiritually fed. And I ain't worried about I'm not worried about being spiritually fed, because I don't want to be. At least not by this entity anyway.
Wow.
So for as long as my wife my wife and kids are going to this church, it's only going to be for a formality to me, because I'm not going to strip them of the enjoyment of being spiritually fed, because this is where they're getting their milk and honey from, and I'm not going to disrupt that by uprooting them from that and taking that away from them. So no, I'll sit there and not necessarily suffer, but I'll sit there and be like, okay, I'm cool, I'm here. But the thing is, I'm already spiritually checked out.
Already. Yes. And that could breed other things.
Yeah, the minute I walk in the door,
Yeah.
yeah,
Absolutely.
because the minute I walk in the door, the minute I walk in the door,
Right.
I ain't trying to hear shit you trying to say.
Right. You're
I ain't
right.
trying to hear that. What? You just talking. What you saying is gibberish. You got an altar call. I ain't coming.
Hmm.
Don't want to. Oh, I don't want you. I don't want you putting your hands on me. I don't want to touch and agree with nobody. I don't want to fellowship with nobody. I'm just here.
Look at that face you just made. I'm
And if I
just
got to
here.
fellowship with somebody, then I'm just gonna go.
I'm just here.
I'm just here. And if I got to go through the motions with you, yeah, that is. I mean, I know you say that it disappoints you and it hurts you to hear that, but that is the reality of
But it's
some. That is
but
the
it's
reality of
real.
some men.
It's real. I
And
think as a wife, it will
it's a
hurt.
grim reality.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
And I guess
it's
for me, I would check out too,
of course.
because I'm looking at my husband, and I know my husband. If he checks out of something, his face is going to definitely show what his body language, and I know when he's checked out of something, and that's gonna hurt me. Like, he must not be
Yep,
enjoying himself. Let's call it a day. Let's grab our wraps and
exactly.
exit stage left, because I need to be somewhere and be
It's
fed where my
it's
whole
a
family
wrap.
can be fed. This is not sitting well with me as the help me.
Ex-
Hmm.
Yep, exactly. But then you look at it from the opposite end of the spectrum, that some pastors say that they don't. Maybe you ought to check yourself at the door.
Hmm.
Maybe you ought to be mindful of what you say to people, or maybe you ought to be at least partway human about it when you say it, because because everybody's different and people react differently to what's said. You know, if you're a spirit, you're a senior leader, and you always walking and speaking in the spirit of offense, somebody somewhere ain't going is not gonna take lightly to that, and it's gonna have dire consequences.
Hmm.
And that's one of the things. I mean, I will say that to any leader. I'm not afraid to say that to a senior leader of a church, because first of all, that senior leader can't put me in heaven or hell. So I'm not afraid of that.
Exactly. Right.
But I will call you out on what I will call you out on it. Dude, you might want to not say that to that person. You might not say what you're saying. Well, why I can't say
Right.
that? Because that's offensive, and that's hurtful.
Yes.
Would you want somebody to do that to you? No. Well, then don't do it to somebody else then, unless you wanted to come back to you 10 times.
But let me ask you this,
I
Fred.
mean, and like I said, I'm not afraid to
Do you think that person would have
shoot.
had the same response to a woman? I don't.
Hell no. Hell no.
See?
The reason I say that is because the reason I say that is because it's a different reaction with a
It
one to a
is.
woman than it would be to a man.
Yep.
The thing of it is that it also goes back again to the Black Christian Church. Not all, not most, but some. Some Black Christian churches value women as their congregants more than they value men.
But let me play the other
Why
side
is
of
that?
this.
When
What if you look at it at the aspect of when this particular person decided to become a altar worker, minister, whatever they call the people that are standing across the front. Okay. If it's not made clear from leadership, and he approaches this with what only he knows, if his life consisted of that little boy that was told, get up off that bike, get your butt in the house, I don't care if that leg broken, go find some tape, go find some glue and glue that leg back on. If that's all that he has been exposed to, I'm not saying it's justified, let me make that myself clear, but I'm wondering if he responded from the lens and the filter of his own indoctrination, and not addressing it means he will not evolve. Just thinking on the side
plays
of
a major factor into it, because
we're gonna look at it as what we've been through. I was told, I mean, it's not right. It's not. I'm not saying it's right, but I'm wondering if that is all that he knew to say, brother. At this point, you're gonna have to stop it up because you have cried too long. And he's coming from the place of he's never lost a child. But the leaders need to say, you need to come from a place of compassion, understanding, and you have to learn for yourself to go beyond your own experience. If there's no empathy there, you're going to feel that, and I'm sure you did, and say, what did you just say to me? Did you not hear that I just lost my child? I don't know how to process this happening to me. And that's all you can come up with, sir? You shouldn't be up here in front of the church. You need to go into training, prayer training, intercession training, or just go somewhere and sit down and keep the pew nice and warm for the season and learn and evolve. We all need to be taught that.
Yep.
We all need to be taught empathy, especially in a church. Absolutely.
But are we truly though? But are we truly being taught empathy and compassion? No. We're being taught empathy and compassion from the wrong prism and wrong lens and the wrong point of view. We're being taught empathy from the human aspect of it and not from the God aspect of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because Jesus had empathy and compassion for everyone, irrespective of who and what they were. Jesus was never a respecter of persons.
That's right.
He showed compassion for everybody, irrespective of what they are, what their social status was, what they did as a past. If they was a murderer, Paul was a murderer and turned himself around. What?
Right.
Come on now. And Paul in his status as a murderer, he taught Timothy. What?
Mm-hmm.
Come on. If and I'll say this, if there's a possibility that we as, and I'm including myself in this, because that's what I am, because I am not an atheist. If we as Christians would look at it from that side of the fence, instead of the side of the fence that we all dwell on,
mm-hmm.
look at it from Jesus from Jesus' perspective.
Mm-hmm.
He showed compassion to everybody.
Everybody. Yes.
Why can't we extend the same courtesy? Why can't we, or why don't we extend the same courtesy? That's the question, really.
That is the question.
Why not? What are we? What are we? Are we selfish? Are we selfish in extending courtesy? Do we not want to extend courtesy? Do we feel like if we extend courtesy, we make ourselves vulnerable to be hurt or be subjugated to some other type of thing? What?
That part right there, because I'm sure
just
the man that
perspective.
The man that you encountered, I'm sure if you were to ask him to tune in to what we're doing tonight and ask him what he thought about writing himself a letter, his response would probably be, I'm good.
I'm
I'm
pretty
good.
sure.
And it's a population of people,
But you know what?
probably male or female, that are
It
going
wouldn't
to
matter.
say that. Hmm. So maybe we can't. Maybe they just don't know how to
That's cool. That's
do
cool.
that.
That's fine. Then if that's the case, then they would have to be introduced to something called humility.
I agree.
Because
110%.
humility will make you really realize that you were an industrial strength bad person. Humility will put you in your place and make you look at that like, well, dang, I was an industrial strength F up. Wow.
And that's
Maybe I need to
strong.
just
And industrial strength. That's strong right
maybe I need
there.
to yeah, and what I yep. Yep. So if somebody doesn't want to do that, that's fine. For me, it's okay. I look at it as not as I look at it as no sweat off my brow. The simple fact of the matter is that what I said tonight ain't gonna be for everybody. It's gonna be for certain people, and they gonna grab onto it and they gonna latch onto it and they gonna move forward.
And that's
And
all
they
that
gonna
matters.
take those tenets and they're gonna craft that letter and they're gonna look at that letter and they're gonna look at it and be proud of what they wrote. Because at the end of the day, it's not about for me. It's not about reaching legions of people because that
Yep,
will
I
happen
agree.
eventually. And I'm cool with I'm cool with eventuality because
Right.
because destiny and eventuality do eventually meet. But if I can reach one
Amen.
man or at least reach out to reach several women, jobs done, duties done, I can pack it up because at the end of the day, that what matters to me is not the number of people that what matters to me is not likes, dislikes,
Exactly.
shares,
Exactly.
that nature. It is important for me as a business owner, of course, because because it because it helps drive business. But impact is more important for me. I
Right.
was always taught. I was always one thing that my uncle he was my uncle. He was a pastor. He's a pastor. Remember how he was a pastor of the church that we went to in Winston, Georgia. God rest his soul. He always told me to affect people with impact, regardless of what I was doing.
Mm, I love that. I love that. That's powerful.
And that's something I take with me. That's something I do anytime I get up on this platform in front of this microphone. Anytime I get on anybody else's platform and speak on this microphone, I always want to affect people with impact because that's
Yes,
literally where it's at.
it is. Well, can I tell you
Are
how this
people
has impacted
there are
me?
men and women. There are men. How?
I feel like what you just went through from the male
Shoot, I'm listening.
perspective, I feel like what you just went through. Can you hear me okay? I got my headphones on now. Can you hear me okay? Is that loud enough? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Can you hear
Yep.
me?
Sure can.
Okay, there we go. I feel
Yep. I
I,
can.
I feel
There we go.
like it's opened my eyes so much to hear the male perspective and how you broke down the tenets and what you put in each one. It took a lot of thought. I am proud of you for doing this. I am I'm overwhelmed with so much emotions because I just feel like it's telling me I need to do even more to be a better help me and be a better support of my husband, many women, and I can speak from Latanya Harris Gooden, grew up in an environment where my mother was extremely headstrong and she was the leader in our home and made it very clear to my now deceased stepfather,
That's
father,
right.
I call him, that she wore the pants and he was just decoration. What happens when a child
Wow.
is raised in that environment is, and she's taught her girls, you don't need no man. You need to make sure you, there's nothing wrong with women's liberation and going out here and working and making your own zeros or whatever. But when you've watched a man be emasculated, when you've watched him be demeaned in public, embarrassed, and told that he's nothing, if that isn't dealt with, and I'm going to be extremely transparent, I have had to fight, and I'm still fighting that force and not becoming that. I'm just putting it out there. It's
Ah,
hard sometimes when you are so accustomed to seeing your mother in that role of sit down, get up, wear this color shirt, that shirt dirty. Why do you have that on? And even to this day, he's gone and people
ooh,
still talk about that. And when he died, I got inboxes of people saying, your mother sure treated him bad. And I don't want to
yep,
be that. But if you're not careful, what you see is what you become if you're not careful. If you're not
yeah,
determined to change that trajectory. But this, what you broke down in these tenets and this letter that I pray men do it. If they do, like you said, fine. If they don't, fine. I know I'm going to do another one from the female perspective and write one to myself because there's a level of self-awareness that I think we need to tap into. Because if we don't, we'll go into relationships and we'll be imposters because we have
yep,
not really become self-aware of who we truly are. You asked a very important question. Who are you at your core, intrinsically? And do you really want to know? Because some
yep.
of it may be good and some of it may not be.
And are you willing to accept it if it's not?
Exactly. And give yourself some grace if it's not, because there is hope and you can turn things around. But at least be aware of what's in you.
Yeah, it's it.
I'm aware of what has I've seen,
Right.
and I'm aware that I, as a wife, I have had to make many apologies to my husband. And I am trying to be better at showing him how much I value him.
You know what?
That's huge.
You're,
What you
and the,
did
you
it
know what
tonight
the,
is huge.
you know what you're on the right path for that because the simple fact of the matter is, if you just realize that maybe I need to show him more value. Maybe I need to show him that he is valued, and he is loved, he is respected and cared for. You know, it for us, and and I'll say this, and and a lot of men may agree with me. Men, we're binary creatures. We're not complicated. We're not we don't have all these layers of intrigue and mystique like women do. We're we're pretty simple, and we're pretty simple, and the majority of what we how we think is usually binary. And I think some women try to make us more than just binary thinkers, or binary, or our needs are not, or they make our needs more complicated than than just being binary. I'm like, why are you trying to do that? I'm I'm just I'm this way. I don't need embellishments and, you know horns and whistles and bells and whistles for all that. I don't need all that. And I think what you recognized, what you understood and recognized through this whole conversation that we've had is that there's some areas for you to improve. That you see areas of improve. You see areas that can be improved. You also see
Yes.
weaknesses that can be addressed.
Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. I see a lot of opportunity there for
I
me.
think
Yes.
take those opportunities and run with those opportunities and do what you have to do as far as making the adjustments and the changes. You know,
Mhm.
you and your husband are y'all in this marriage for death till death do you part, and for better or for worse. And I look at it as a football. I look at it as a football game. It's it's 4 quarters. You play until that clock reads 000.
Mm.
And it's all about the adjustments and making the proper adjustments at the proper time. You see that in I mean and all that you and everything that you do, you make sure that you do it in a spirit of um, humility and joy, because honestly speaking, they always say happy wife, happy life.
Mm-mm.
Yeah,
I don't like
happy.
that statement at all.
You not happy. Y'all both ain't happy.
We need everybody to be
That
happy.
happy wife, happy life thing. Stop that.
Stop it.
I'm gonna tell y'all. I'm gonna let y'all know right now. The happy, the happy wife, happy life thing. Kill it,
Kill it.
because what's the difference of making your spouse happy and you ain't happy? What's the purpose of making your spouse happy and at the same but at the end of the day you still ain't happy?
Right. That's going against tenant number
Your
3.
spouse,
And probably a little bit of 4
your
and
spouse's
5.
peace. Yep, your peace is just as much as important as your spouse's peace.
I know that's right. I know that's right. And can I say something too about that, Fred? This whole happy wife, happy life.
Yes, sir.
At
Yes,
the end of
ma'am.
the day, a true woman that's a real woman that wants both herself and her spouse to get something out of the marriage. The thing I haven't learned, some people, women, ain't never gonna be happy, because a man could give her everything she wants, money, diamonds, pearls. If she has not found an identity of herself between her and God, you can give her everything she put
It
on her
don't work.
to-do list, and it still won't work. It'll never be enough. It will be
Nope.
insatiable.
And she's
It'll never be enough.
gonna be this miserable person. Period.
Still,
Nope.
with all the
Not at
stuff
all.
that you have given.
Not at
Well,
all.
you said you wanted a car, a big house. You said you wanted, red bottoms and whatever. I did all of that, and now you still not satisfied. That's something wrong. That's something wrong. Mm-mm.
Nah, and I hate it, and I don't like that. I can't. If you want to do all that, that's fine. You on your own, but you on your own with that. But before we go, I want to take a small little break, and then we're gonna come back and wrap. We're gonna come back and wrap up. All
Okay.
right. So gonna show a quick video, and we'll be right back, guys. So we're gonna take a quick break, and then we're gonna wrap up.
We're living in a different time. Isn't that what the old folks say? Well, I beg to differ, because there really is nothing new under the sun. We used to think that this generation was stronger than that of my parents. But after learning where and whom we come from, I realized that this was a false narrative. They fought, bled, and died for the liberties that we take advantage of today. So I changed my mind. We are our grandparents. We are our parents. This is where the idea for uppity Negro apparel and accessories comes from. We are the uppity Negroes that defy boundaries, broke chains, climbed mountains, and cross valleys of hatred, bigotry, illiteracy, and oppression. The statement is simple. The cause is never ending. The sound, loud. Say it with me, Kendrick. I am that uppity Negro.
Back. So we talked about a lot.
We did.
We talked about a whole lot.
This is good. Rich.
And the one thing that I want men, primarily men, but also women, to understand that these tenets they're interconnected, they're interchangeable. They can be put in whatever order you want to put them in. I just put them in the order that I would write it in. However, it's important to not only understand what these tenets mean to you as a man individually, also what they will understand what they mean to you collectively, meaning with your spouse, meaning with your significant other, because these same tenets you can apply to yourself, you can also apply to your spouse, because they pretty much mean the same thing. They could translate to the same thing. But I want my brothers to understand that, you know, healing and growth is something that is possible for us as men. For far too long and for far too often, we were never told. We were told that healing and growth was impossible for us. That is something that is far-fetched, and we can't reach that evolution. We can't reach that pinnacle. We can't reach that mountaintop, and we can't reach that peak. Well, I'm here to say, I'm here to happily say that they were wrong. Whoever told you that, they lied to you. Whoever told you they lied to you, and they told you falsehood. They gave you incorrect information. You were taught incorrect doctrine. Healing and growth is possible. It lies within you. That power lies within you, and you can tap into it. Grace and mercy is available. Grace and mercy is available to you.
Yes.
You just because you didn't experience it at one point. It's been there all along, and you can tap into it. We as men don't give ourselves enough grace, and we need to, because I'm gonna say this, and a lot of people will either agree with me or they can't. A woman does not know what it means to be a man, and a man does not know what it means to be a woman.
Amen.
So a woman could never relate to the pressure that what lies on a man's shoulders, and a man could never relate to the pressures that lie on a woman's shoulders. So, with that being said, black men and women, we have to have a better understanding of what this is, and a better understanding of each other, if we're going to ever be able to evolve in our relations with each other. Why subscribe to all this other silliness? You know, the high value man thing, throw that out the window. It exists, but it exists beyond what you think, beyond your thought processes. If we can learn to successfully coexist with each other as black men and women, we be in a much better state than we are now. Our marriages would be thriving and surviving, not deteriorating and destroying themselves from the inside out. All these tenets and doctrines and all these tenets and old doctrines of how we were taught from churches and things. But they throw that, not to say the church isn't valuable, but all those old tenets and doctrines need to be thrown out the window. They don't belong. As we as people evolve, the church is supposed to do the same thing. At least that's the thought. That's the thought process of mine. I don't know about anybody else, but that's a thought process of mine. But I really do hope that, you know, I really do hope that someone was impacted by what I was saying, what I said. You know, I put a lot of thought in this, a lot of thought to this, a lot of consideration to this. There were some things that I wrote in my notes that I wrote that I deemed were too sensitive, and didn't necessarily say them, or I said them, but not with the punch that I wanted to say them with. There were things that I said that were possibly offensive. I ain't apologizing for that because sometimes certain things that are offensive are true, and sometimes when we face those truths, we're able to grow, we're able to evolve. Period. So I really do hope that you guys got something out of this, because I know that I did, and I'm the one putting it out. I know my good friend that's here with me got a lot out of it, and I'm happy
Yes,
for that.
I did.
I'm so happy for that.
Yes.
Because and I think if I can reach, this is just as important for women as it is for men.
Yes.
Because I think if women understand the tenets and the content of this letter, and even if they read it, they have a much better, much more intimate understanding of who you are as a man. And they can take that, and they can embrace that, and they can hold on to that, baby, and they can, and that's something they can appreciate. So as much as important as as important as this I imagine this was for men, I feel that it's just as equally as important for women, because it gives them a much more intimate look into us.
Yes. Absolutely.
And who better to tell a man's who better to tell a man's perspective than a man?
Amen.
Not saying that a woman couldn't talk for a man's perspective. Women haven't experienced the things that we as men have.
That's true.
You know,
that's true. We can sympathize, but we can't tell it like you. That's right. Total different experience. Yep. You're right.
And I think, yep. And when I look at that, I look at it I look at it from the aspect of, you know, and when I thought about this, I thought about the aspect of, you know, suicide. Men delete them. Men kill themselves more than women. Why? Because men are not allowed to open up.
My God.
Men are not allowed to express what they feel. We're always told that we can't. If we say something, if we express our feelings, then we're soft.
Wow.
If we're hurt, then we're told put some dirt on it and just go about your way.
My God.
When I thought about this, when I put this whole thing together, I thought about that one thing, because truth be told, and this is me being transparent, I attempted suicide twice. Once in 2018, and then again in the summer of 2020. Both attempts failed, thank God.
Jesus.
But through my second attempt, as I'm laying on the ground, my back hurting, and I'm just laying there, just crying out to God and saying, why me? And God answered, why not?
Jesus.
Why not you? I had to look at things in a different perspective from that, and that's one of the things. That's one of the inspirations that made me really put this show together, but also write the notes that I wrote. You know, that's one of the main things that I look at. That I look at. Men are more likely to kill themselves than women are. Suicide rate for women is lower than men. Women do it for a plethora of reasons. Men do it for one main reason: they're not heard.
My God.
They can't express themselves. We've been forced to suppress, and then we end up wading to the waters of depression, PTSD,
Mm.
anxiety, um,
Mm-hmm.
schizophrenia, um, psychosis, and all any other type of mental health condition, but depression and anxiety mostly. And I look at that
Jesus.
from a person from my perspective, someone who I'm not even going to say suffers from, someone who's been diagnosed with um, depression, PTSD, and anxiety. I look at those three things, and I always tell myself I am more than my conditions.
Yes.
I'm more than depression. I'm more than PTSD, and I'm more than anxiety. Like I said, the letter that I wrote is really the letter that I wrote. The three tenets of the letter that I'm going to compose. This it's not a letter to condemn you or make you feel bad. It's a love letter to yourself.
Yes.
It's truly a love letter to yourself, telling yourself that, hey, I'm just as worthy of love as my spouse is. So, and I get emotional when I talk about stuff like that, because that's something that is near and dear to my heart. Because I do want us as men to evolve beyond the stigma of
Yes.
of not being vulnerable, not being able to open up, and the stigma of the mental health part of it. You know, um, a lot of stigma behind the mental health aspect of it. A lot of stigma behind not being able to be vulnerable or be able to rest in our vulnerability is looked at as weakness. And for the life of me, I can't understand why. Because I'm just as human as the next man or next woman. And to be honest with you, I'm tired of seeing my brothers
Mm-hmm.
go through things like this. But I'm also tired of seeing good sisters deal with the fallout from from what other women have deemed men as not being. And yes, and popular contrary belief, there are good men and good women out here.
Yes.
But I'm tired of seeing my brothers go through this without not have I'll say without not without. I'm tired of seeing my brothers go through this and not have a dog in the fight.
Wow.
I'll be that dog in the fight, y'all. But I'm also tired of watching good women, good spouses to their husbands pay for the inconsideration and the insolence and the just the plain out ignorance men who emasculate, eviscerate, and just literally destroy good men makes no sense to me. So yes, brothers and good and sisters, y'all didn't have a dog in the fight. Y'all got a dog in the fight now.
Amen.
because as long as I draw a breath, I'm always gonna speak positive for my brothers, but I'm also gonna speak positive to those sisters who are willing to listen and who are willing to just sit down and have a conversation and be humble and listen. I'm just one person, and and I and, and I think that I don't think that my voice is larger is the biggest voice in the room. And it's not about being the loudest person in the room. It's about being about what is it's about the content, about what you say that makes it important. I don't got to speak loud to make an impact. I can say something in the softest of voice, and it can have meaning. So I'll be that dog in the fight, you know. And like I said, this is something this is a personal mission for me because look, brothers, I know what it means. I know what it means to be emasculated. I know what it means to be eviscerated. Felt like you were nothing or nobody. I've been where you are, and sometimes I end up I don't go back there. I end up my it takes sometimes certain instances and experiences take me back to those bring me back to those waters. But now I know how to wade in those waters and not drown. So I know what that means, man. I know what that means, fellas. I do. And if you feel like you can't talk to your spouse, man, if you feel like you can't say anything to your spouse, please, at that point, seek help.
Yes, please do.
Talk to a therapist. If you work at a job, they have something that's called employee assistance program. That
That's
is a
right.
it's a it is a great program. I've used it personally myself. I've used
Me
it personally
too.
myself, and
Hmm.
it is the stepping stone to putting yourself on a better path.
Yes.
Talk to a therapist. You know, seek help. If you can't talk to your spouse, talk to somebody. And then once you feel comfortable with talking to your therapist, bring your spouse into it. Bring your
Hmm.
significant other into it. So that way she can understand what it is that you got, what it is that you're going through, what it is that you're feeling, what is you what it is that you so she can understand you, what you're feeling, what you go through, how you feel, things of that nature. And then that allows for better relationships. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
That
Yes.
allows for y'all to come together for y'all to better mesh as one.
Absolutely. That's good.
So yeah, you know, I don't want to overtalk anything or make it or take away the impact of what I've said tonight because it was a lot. And for me to be on here for 3 hours straight, that is a personal best and first for me. But it was worth it. It was worth it
You
it was
sure
worth it to be
was.
here
Amazing.
with you guys for the. So Miss Coco, if you want, do you want to come on and give us some announcements before we do the benediction and closing?
Hi, everybody. I was sitting in the background.
Hey,
Chilling. Yeah, I have some announcements. So, major announcement. First, foremost, let us congratulate Fred on his nomination for the award that he is going to be in South Carolina for in the next couple months. So we are congratulating our bro here. I'm so excited for him. Please, if he has posted the vote link, please go and vote for him. All it takes is a click of a button. No harm, no foul, right? So please make sure y'all do that for him.
I just
Um,
I just put it out
Also,
there.
he is going to be on Unapologetically Free. What day is that? On
The
the
15th
15th
of
of
September.
September. So please go and register for that. It is totally free. It is no cost. But it is via Zoom, so you don't have to show your face. You can get up there and get what you need to get, whatever nuggets are going to be dropped, and enjoy yourself. Right? I've been up there every time they've had one. It's been an awesome time with the people that they have in the panel. So the panels are normally very, very good. Um, also, our second year anniversary is coming up in October on the 13th. We have a lot of stuff to share with you guys, some stuff that we're going to be launching, some new hosts that are coming in with us as well. So I'm so excited about that. A lot for you guys to see in September. There's a lot of shows coming up, y'all. And we got some wonderful guests coming down the pipe. First guest for me in September, on September the 8th, is going to be Miss Promise Nicole. She is 12 years old, y'all. And when I tell you she bad,
Wow.
y'all gotta go listen to her song on YouTube. She hot for 12 years old. And she
Wow.
Oh
writes she
yeah.
writes her own stuff, and she does her own producing of her background music, everything at the age of 12. Y'all gotta check her out. Her song is called One Sided. Her name is Promise Nicole on YouTube, so go find her. But she'll be with me on September the 8th. All right, so just remember that so y'all could tune in and give her some support, right? um in November on the 10th, we will have Quint's birthday bash virtually. I don't know if it's going to be enough room on StreamYard. If it's not, we will have it via Zoom, and you guys will get the link so you guys can pop in and tell her happy birthday. Last year it was a bring your sheet moment because we was on the flow. Um, because of how the Lord did what He did, we ministered.
Ooh.
When I tell you we ministered, we ministered. Everybody was in here toe up. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be another bring your own sheet moment. You might want to have yourself ready and prepared for whatever the Lord gonna say. So that is gonna be on November the 10th. Also, we got a lot of stuff coming up in November. I want you guys to donate like you did last year so that we can feed families that may not be able to have anything in the month of November for Thanksgiving. Each host will feed two families. So what we're going to do is we're going to do it the same way we did it last year. I want you guys to donate to us via Cash App, and I will be posting the Cash App at the end of every show so you guys can get it. It will be pinned in the chat. Once you post it and you donate it, I will split it between all the hosts, and we will all pick two families to feed for Thanksgiving. I want us to feed two families apiece this year. We had a good time last year and we was able to help 5 families. So I want to make it two families per host now that we're going to have more hosts with us this year. All right. Same thing for the month of December. I want to do our own version of Toys for Tots and also be able to feed the families. All right. So if y'all bear with us, we love to give back and we love to make sure that people can have stuff for their families. All right. So that is what we have coming up. And we got some stuff coming up down the pipe where we're going to be doing some giveaways. So stay tuned because you don't know what we're going to do. You don't know how it's coming. All right. So I want you guys to understand because all the hosts got
Ah.
something to give away. All right, especially Miss LHG down here on this platform. She got some stuff that she could give to y'all. So I
Yes.
want y'all to understand that's the paparazzi queen right there. So she got some major giveaways, all right. Because I promise y'all, if she give y'all a Z piece, I'm gonna be mad about it. But if
Woo.
she give y'all a Z piece, that means you good, right? Them Z pieces be hot though, y'all, for real.
Hot. Hot.
I'm telling y'all, each host is gonna do a giveaway. So you don't know what it's gonna be. You don't know how it's gonna come, but you gotta pay attention to the show that night so that you can win the giveaway. All right. So we're gonna give you all some more tips on that. So just stay tuned because I'm not gonna give too much away right now. So starting in the month of September until the end of the year and all next year, we're going to be doing giveaways. All right. So I want you guys to just stay tuned. And we're going to be doing raffles as well. So when we do raffles, we're going to be giving away big stuff. But you got to pay for the raffle tickets to get that stuff. But I just want to let y'all know. And my birthday is coming up in September. I don't know what I'm going to do yet. I think I might throw myself a virtual party with y'all.
Party,
All right.
party,
So we can
party.
get up here and have a virtual party and y'all can say hello and give me some well wishes. But I promise you the Lord has blessed and it'll be a blessing just to see it. You understand? So at the end of the day, that's all I care about. I haven't had a birthday party since I was a teenager, y'all. You understand? So if I do a virtual one, it'll be a blessing for me, and I would like to share it with everybody that supports me. So at the end of the day, I want to say I love y'all to life. You know that's the motto of me, and live every day on purpose and make it count. All right, so that's all I got. And Fred, back to you.
Well, cool, cool. Okay. So before we end the show, I got one announcement, and this, in addition to being on unapologetically free, and also have been nominated for this award in South Carolina. I did put the web, I did put the web address to where you can go vote at. It's there. Also, I am so let's just put it like this. I have written a script, and I am looking for actors. I already have three people locked in for three roles, but I'm looking for more people to fill some other roles for this script, because I want to do a virtual reading. So the target date I want to do this virtual reading is sometime around September 15th. Hopefully by that time I have all the actors locked in, so I can let everybody know where this is. Now the virtual reading is only going to be for a select few people, because number one, I want feedback from the actors and also the people that I invite on this. But if you are an actor or voice actor, it doesn't matter your experience. It doesn't matter your experience. Remember, this is just a reading. Please, I want you guys to come to hit me up via email. The email is going to be here. I'm putting it in, posting it in the comments. Is why screenplay 2020 is why name of the script. The name of the script, the screenplay that I've written. Um, the goal of this is to, after I go through the rewrites, is to get this in front of some local production houses here where I'm in the city of Atlanta, or some production houses across the U.S., or possibly to production houses that are international or overseas. Um, I'll say this, that this is this is a very, very powerful screenplay. Um, something that took a lot of time for me to write, and it's very personal. It's very emotional to me. If you guys have ever seen Fruitvale Station, or American Skin, it is it follows more loosely based on American Skin than Fruitvale Station. Um, because that's the inspiration for me to write it. But if you are an actor, a voice actor, or just a regular actor, you want to just do a voice for this first reading, um, hit me up via email at screenplay22@gmail.com, and I will most definitely respond to you. And I'll most definitely, what I'll do, if you're interested, we'll have a conversation. And what I'll do is I'll send you a copy of the script, but I'll also send you the copy, what's called a non-disclosure agreement. There are reasons why, and there are reasons why that has to be there, and I won't go into too much about this screenplay. And I'm nervous at the same time, because it's the first time I've ever wrote anything in that vein, and I'm excited for it. I'm really excited for what we're doing here. The people that we're bringing on, the things that we got going, the things that we're going to have going on, our continuation of giving back to people. Um, when we did it the first time last year, it was was so successful, and people were impacted in that, and that means a lot to me. Um, and I'm proud. I'm so proud of what we're doing. I'm so proud of the people that I have aligned with me. Um, I get emotional when I talk about the people that I have that I'm so blessed to have with me. Um, Coco, Quint, Bobby, also our new hosts that are coming on. Um, I feel I'm so blessed to be in the presence of such wonderful people, and I get misty eyed every time I talk about it because it's God chose this time for all of us to be together in this moment for a divine connection, and I'm truly grateful for that. Um, I'm grateful for all I guess that have showed up, that have appeared here on this platform. Um, as I always say, I thank you for showing up to talk about your platforms and things of that nature. But most importantly, I thank you for giving, for showing us you, to our listeners and our viewers. What more can I say? Um, you guys are the best, the best, the best. I can never say enough about how you guys support us, how you guys back us up, and how you guys intercede and pray for us. That's huge. It speaks volumes to a lot for everything. And again, I get misty eye when I talk about this because it is it is because of you guys that we're able to expand and and move forward into other things. It's because of your support, because of your likes and your follows and your watches on on YouTube, and watching the replays on YouTube, or listen to the replays on Spotify, Apple iTunes, and Google Podcasts, and anywhere else where you listen to audio podcasts. Is what you guys do that allow us to be where we are and to be who we are. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. I mean, I love you all. I love you all to life, and there's not a damn thing y'all can do about it. Um, I'm so happy. I'm so excited, and it was my honor and my pleasure to bring this particular show to you guys. Um, I hope that I was able to reach someone, and I want to thank Coco and LHG for coming on and just being here
Love it.
with me.
Enjoyed it.
And yes, I appreciate it so much. I appreciate you guys for coming here and just supporting me and just coming on and just like making this so inspiring and so much more meaningful. You guys don't know what that you neither one of you knows what that means to me when I say that, because when I put this together, there was a lot of emotion that was running inside of me, and I had no idea if I was going to be able to get through it. But you guys interacted with me, and we having a conversation. It helped me get through it because there were parts of the notes and the things that I wrote that were highly emotional, and I don't think I would have been able to get through it, you know, if you guys were here. So I appreciate that.
This has been amazing.
So, Miss Coco, do you guys have a show tomorrow?
Yes. Yes, there is a show tomorrow.
Y'all do? What? Tell everybody what the name of it is and what y'all talking about.
You know I
What
don't.
y'all talking about tomorrow?
Well, I don't know what the name is yet.
Oh, I forgot you.
You know how the Lord do me. You know, Monday night
I
he
know.
gave it to me
Last minute.
Monday night he gave it to me Monday morning, and Monday night topic was, do you have the capacity to midwife me? And so if you watch the show, then you know how
Ooh.
deep it went. But tomorrow night I'm not sure what the topic is going to be. I don't know what the Lord gonna do. I don't know what he gonna say. But we're gonna talk about whatever he wants us to talk
Well,
about, and we're gonna do a little bit of Q&A. So
well, I'm pretty sure it's gonna be another certified banger. So I have no doubt. Of that, I have no doubt.
hey, you
But
know how we do. We
ladies,
let God
gentlemen,
be
boys and
God.
girls, friends, and countrymen's. Oh yeah, for sure, most definitely. You know, ladies and gentlemen, friends and countrymen, that's gonna end this episode of Trailblazers Radio. My God, I've been up here for 3 hours and 36 minutes. That is a personal best for this guy right here. Oh my goodness. So, but that's gonna end this episode of Trailblazers Radio. I hope that you guys picked up something. Oh, before I even end this thing, Miss Latanya, do you have any closing remarks before we roll up out of here?
I do. I actually wanted to, if you don't mind, I wanted to do a closing prayer.
Oh, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you. Father, we just thank and praise you for the seed that has been planted tonight and the good ground that is being planted. And I had to just thank you for the visionary, my brother Fred, for opening up himself in this way, in such a vulnerable way, but impactful and effective way, to start a dialogue that is going to penetrate the hearts of many, whether they know it yet or not. The seed has been planted. I thank you, Lord, for the breakthrough and the healing that you're giving Brother Fred. And I thank you for the other brothers who are going to tune into this and see themselves and acknowledge some things that they probably haven't acknowledged in their lifetime. I thank you for not only the generational curses that are being broken, but the generational wrong choices, or the choices to remain silent when you probably should have been speaking. Silence is not always golden. So, God, thank you for just making sure that people are receptive and seeing what the vision truly is in the pure heart that my brother Fred has, uh, to want to just start a discussion that will break the bondage of the enemy. I thank you that he is still here. I thank you that this is going to impact people in such a way that they want to live more. They want to live better. They want to experience the fullness of who you are, Lord, and the fullness of who you made them to be. Every layer, every dimension in divine alignment. I thank you that he is reaching a population of people, men, who need to see the value in themselves and who need to command respect and see that these tenets and this letter could really change the narrative, because there's a system in this world that is fighting against them. This is how you fight your battles. This is how you fight. You take the time to become aware of who you are. So, God, I love you for what you're doing through my brother. I love you for the courage that he brought forth tonight. And I love you for the fact that there may even be a part two. And I thank you for the blessings that you're bestowing upon him and this radio station. And God, we will forever give you the glory and the praise for the impact that is igniting. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen, amen, and amen. Such a powerful prayer. Well, gentlemen, since she prayed such a powerful prayer, that's the prayer and the benediction. So that's going to close out this episode of Trailblazers Radio with me, your host, Frederick Beaty, and also my my beautiful my beautiful co-host Miss Latanya Harris Gooden in the building. Yo, give it up, give it up. But yo, you guys continue to follow us on our social media platforms: Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter. Every listen to us on our audio platforms, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Anchor, anywhere you get audio podcasts. Listen and watch our shows. The replays are on YouTube, and if you can also watch the replays on Facebook as well, on our respective channel, our respective Facebook pages. Look, I need you guys to do me a favor. Please go to our YouTube page, Trailblazers Radio. Hit that subscribe button, man. I want to get our YouTube subscription up a little bit more. I want us to get to at least I want us to get more subscriptions on our YouTube page so that way we can get more engagement there. So follow us there on our YouTube page, but also follow my hosts too on their respective platforms as well. They have great content on their platforms, and I want you guys to all to be engaged and be engaged with us. We're always open for a conversation, and we're always open to engage with you guys. We're not hosts. We're hosts that like to engage with our viewers and our listeners. We don't shy away from the hard questions of our listeners and our viewing audience. So continue to keep engaging with us, and we'll keep bringing you great content. But for now, that's going to end this episode. But I want you guys to always understand three things. I want you to know three things. First of all, I want you guys to love on each other. Second of all, I want you guys to take care of each other. And last but not least, let's just call a spade here. It's a crazy ass world out here. So please, above all things, please be safe, y'all. Please be safe. And on that note, that's good. So you guys have a wonderful evening. Actually, now morning. And you guys take care, and y'all be blessed.
Bye-bye.